Molson NHL tonight.
Western Conference is a dogfight as 5 teams battle for that 8th and final playoff spot. For the Winnipeg Jets, home ice has been a key ally in the quest for postseason action. The Jets have earned valuable victories over contenders like Chicago, Vancouver, St. Louis, and Toronto. But on Tuesday, Coach Terry Simpson's team saw a black cloud descend overhead. Winnipeg's flight plan crashing and burning against Edmonton. So with 4 games and only 2 at home, the Jets must fire up those engines one more time. No easy task against Detroit. They've only managed to tie in 4 games against them so far this year. Tonight from the arena in Winnipeg, the Wings and the Jets take flight. That's next on TSN. Buckle those seatbelts. Winnipeg has only 1 win in its last 5 games. In a recent game against Detroit, this Jet was flying on only 1 wing. They had a 4-1 lead and ended up having to settle for a 5-5 tie. They will need more intensity and more concentration from people like their leading sniper, Alexei Zhamnov, down the stretch, and also playoff-style goaltending from one of these guys.
Coffee is on, and it's hot. Detroit's Paul Coffey is leading his team in scoring and all NHL defensemen. The veteran knows it's time for his team to bear down and fine-tune the game plan. The Wings were embarrassed Tuesday in LA, but they can clinch the West with a win tonight.
Winnipeg has lofty and crucial aspirations at home against the division-leading Red Wings tonight. In other action this evening, Ottawa leads Tampa 3-0 after 1. In Chicago, Daryl Sutter's Blackhawks look to make it 2 wins in a row. And in Edmonton, goaltender Billy Ranford holds the fort as the Oilers face the Blues in a must-win situation. All the action on the NHL tonight.
NHL Tonight on TSN. Brought to you by Molson Canadian. By All Sport, the new sports drink for athletes. All Sport, the game will never be the same.
Lucky Sevens, as in 77. One of the great leaders in the NHL, Paul Coffey, playing a huge role with Detroit this season in their quest for a Stanley Cup championship. And another 7, Keith Tkachuk, a great young leader with the Winnipeg Jets as they try to sneak into the playoffs down the stretch. It's Winnipeg and Detroit next on the NHL tonight. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm Paul Romanuk along with Gary Green. The Winnipeg Jets in a situation where you want to back off, maybe, just maybe, saying it's a must-win game because, Gary, they've had a few must-win games in the last week and a half, and they've squandered all of them.
Well, everyone's running around with these blue ribbons here trying to save the Jets. Maybe the guys in the white sweaters on the ice should be trying to save themselves. They were just terrible here Tuesday night against Edmonton. They had no intensity. They weren't skating. They weren't hitting. The guys that can handle the puck weren't handling the puck. They didn't put on a very good show for their fans. Now, they've got it tough tonight, real tough, because the Detroit Red Wings can clinch overall in the National Hockey League, and that means a pool of $200,000 to be divided up amongst the players. That'll make them skate.
That is a rather large incentive. The magic number is 2, as in 2 points for Detroit. They win tonight, they clinch the Western Conference Championship as well as the overall league title. Should be a good one. It's Detroit and Winnipeg coming up right now, though. Let's check in again with John Wells.
All right, Paul, and the Oilers will be tested by the Blues in their struggle for a playoff berth tonight in Edmonton. In Chicago, the Hawks put a very modest 1-game win streak on the line against the Dallas Stars, who are only 3 points back, and the Stars could really mess up this playoff race.
Well, most certainly. Everybody's been talking about Chicago and Vancouver maybe going after the Toronto Maple Leafs, but all of a sudden the Dallas Stars, because Chicago has lost a bunch of hockey games, are right in the thick of this Western Conference race. Chicago has one game in hand, but the Dallas Stars have the ability, with a win tonight, to move up within 1 point of the Chicago Blackhawks and vault 1 point ahead of the Vancouver Canucks. So nothing is set at all. It was a big win for the Toronto Maple Leafs against Chicago, against Vancouver last night, but even they're not safe at this point. 3 games on the road for the Leafs, and their road record is not that good, John.
Yeah, and at the bottom of the heap, it's San Jose currently holding the 8th spot, but they're currently tied with the Los Angeles Kings. We'll watch all the action from TSN Hockey Control here tonight. Detroit and Winnipeg coming right up from the Winnipeg Arena on Molson NHL tonight. As they take on the front-running Detroit Red Wings, here again, Paul Romanuk and Gary Green.
Thanks, John. Well, the Jets have really been fogged in when it comes to playing Detroit this year. Detroit leads the season series 3-0-1. This is the final meeting of the season between these two clubs. Mike Bernard in goal. Had a club record 16-game unbeaten streak earlier this year, 13-0-3. Broke a record that was formerly held by the great Terry Sawchuk. And at the other end, Nikolai Habibulin will make his 3rd start of the year against Detroit. He is 0-2 against them so far this season. And Winnipeg looking for some consistency in goal from either Habibulin or Cheveldae. Dave Jackson is the referee. He wears number 8. Mike Civic is number 88. Wayne Bonney is number 94. And we are set to roll. It's the Jets and the Red Wings. The Jets in white, the Wings in red. And the Red Wings needing a victory tonight to lock up the Western Conference Championship and the league title overall.
First shift might tell an awful lot about the Winnipeg Jets here tonight.
And it's Gillen, King, and Solane out there to start things off for the Winnipeg Jets. You don't see the Olympic line together all that much. Certainly not as much as you did earlier on in the year. Manson gets it to Solane. Airy gives him a bump. Puck comes right in front. Burr fired it just wide. Tried to pick up the rebound on the backhand, but this is Gillen coming back out for the Jets. He has Solane with him. King coming in on the left wing. Mike Bernard out there to play it. Here's Gillen in front of the net. That bounced by King. He had an open net to shoot at. Had he been able to negotiate contact there. Manson back to pick it up, and the Wings change him up in the early going. King feathering it up ahead for Solane. A little bit too far for him, and now the Jets will get in a few changes. Here's Dino Ciccarelli. Tried to get it up there to Primo. It hit him in the skate. Tkachuk looking for it. Went off of Eastwood's skate there. Comes back up to Tkachuk. Tkachuk at the line was stopped up by Karkner. Ciccarelli gets it ahead. Shepard coming in with Primo. Shepard shoots. Habibulin stopped him, and he'll hang on.
Oh, the Jets have got their hands full, though, when Scotty Bowman's team start coming at you. Bowman has got this team right where he wants them right now. Never mind just trying to clinch tonight. But all of his specialty teams, they're first in power play, second in penalty killing. They're great offensively. We've known that about the Red Wings for a while. But this year, he's got them great defensively. Number 1 in the league, and for Scotty Bowman, that means that he can finally smell a Stanley Cup.
Every guy in the team where you talk to, Gary, comparing this year to last, they say, much better team defense. That's what we've been playing right since game 1.
Players have bought into the system, into the program, and I think that it took them bottoming out last year and losing to San Jose in the first round to get them where they are today.
Here's Coffey at the line, shoots it in. Habibulin got a piece of that. Interesting line out here right now for Detroit with Fedorov, Yzerman, and Kozlov. Interesting to see Yzerman playing with Fedorov.
And on the wing.
Yeah. Fedorov chops it out. Here's Newman. Gets it across. Zamnov couldn't knock it down. Here's Fedorov. Gets it up ahead. Kozlov coming in with Yzerman. Here's Kozlov in front for Yzerman. He was being tied up by Korolev. Puck bounces out there. Quickly flicked away. Here's Fedosov looking, shooting. That's steered away by Habibulin. Fedosov's out there. Kozlov, Fedorov, Habibulin. This is like a Russian national team exhibition game. Zamnov clears it in. Korolev just missed it. Here's Zamnov again. Trying to chip it in on goal. Zamnov and Fedorov battling along the boards. Zamnov looking for it, but Yzerman taps it away, and here comes Kozlov. Coffey streaking up there with him. Here comes Coffey. Gets it up to Kozlov. To Fedorov. Couldn't pull the trigger.
You've got 3 forwards on the Red Wings that are the highest skill level players. They can pass the puck, and it's important that they have Paul Coffey on the ice with them. It just adds to their offense immensely. Coffey could beat them to the opposite end with the puck.
Oh, you get Coffey playing back there. He can play with Fetisov. He can also play back there with Lidstrom. Just tremendous offense from the defense.
But the important thing is there's no use putting those 3 guys with guys that are just going to chip it up along the boards or along the glass. You need someone back in the blue line that can rush with the puck, but that can give those passes tape to tape.
Offside call there. 17:03 to go in the first period. Good pace to start this game. We're tied at 0.
Well, which is a better sign for Terry Simpson. He was just absolutely befuddled after Tuesday night's game. He had no idea why his team played so poorly. He wondered about the whole organization. He didn't want to just look at the team. He wanted to look at the organization and see why they go backwards at times, especially when it looked as though they were going forwards.
And the Jets calling up a number of players from the minors at the conclusion of the season, so Thomas Steen also out.
May well be Thomas Steen's last season in the National Hockey League.
A great player in the history of this Winnipeg franchise. Here comes Primo. Stefan Quintal picks it up. Cicerelli watching him. Here's Tkachuk. Nelson Emerson gets it ahead. Here comes Shannon. Gets it across. Tkachuk going after it. Shepard trying to watch him. Emerson moving in towards the slot. Now he'll come over to pick it up. Eastwood is parked in front. Puck comes in. Vernon stopped it. Eastwood looking for it. Emerson fired a shot. And Tkachuk is down on the ice.
He is hurt. He took that shot. He goes to the net. He pays the price. But boy, did he ever this time.
Hit him on the knee on the way in. We'll take a look at that when we come back. 16:25 to go in the first period in the NHL tonight.
To find out what's happening in the world of hockey, turn to the pages of the Hockey News. Each week they take to the ice to bring you reports on your favorite NHL teams. From the benches to the boardrooms, the game's top columnists pull no punches and get a whole new look at the game with the lighter side of hockey. Add team-by-team reports in a great stats package, and you've got all you need to be on top of the game and your hockey pool. The Hockey News, now available at participating Shoppers Drug Mart, Pharma Free locations, and other retail outlets.
Third boxcar, midnight train, destination back to Maine. I'm up there on the means.
The copper top tops them all.
King of the road.
Everyone knows water and wax don't mix. Everyone's wrong. Introducing Wax Packs, the revolutionary car wax that disperses in soap and water to wax your car while you wash it.
I'm waxing.
New Wax Packs, waxes while you wash.
Terry Simpson needed Keith Tkachuk to lead the way for him tonight, taking the body, going to the net. Now watch, just to the left of your screen, now in the middle. Tkachuk goes to the net all right, but he ended up getting that slap shot from the point right on the side of the knee. Not much protection there.
And he headed right down to the dressing room. We'll keep our eyes peeled and let you know if he comes back to the bench. Here's Manson. 16:10 to go in the first period. 0-0. Winnipeg and Detroit. And talk about opposite ends of the spectrum. Detroit trying to clinch a regular season league title with a win tonight. Winnipeg trying to nose its way into the playoffs. Constantina back to pick it up. King watching him.
Which obviously, or we should say, by the way, can be done because they just feel that what they've got to do is win the 4 games remaining. If the Jets do that, well, then they could probably make the playoff spot.
Well, their fate is in their hands, but their grasp at times has seemed a little bit slippery. Detroit Red Wings to finish up. 3 games left after tonight. They play Dallas and Chicago at home, and then they're into St. Louis. And Winnipeg also with 3 games to go. 2 of the 3 on the road, as we talked about earlier on in the show, where they haven't played nearly as well as they have at home.
But if they win tonight, as they were saying today, they could win those remaining 3 games. Tonight's the key.
Here comes Paul Coffey. He'll clear it in. Yzerman and Fedorov up there as well. Kozlov. Here's Solane. Being watched by Kozlov. Fedorov chips that one loose. Jamnov will pick it up ahead to Korolev. Solane pulled down by Fedorov. Penalty coming up. Puck moved right out in front. Score! Numanen. Numanen makes it 1-0 Winnipeg.
No, Fetisov. Take a look at this play because, first of all, there's the delayed penalty. But now look at this opportunity. You can see that Vernon is out of his net, but watch that puck ended up going right off the wing stick as well. Fetisov was in right at the very end. And so the Jets get a little bit of help. They can use it.
We'll give it to Numanen. Solane picks up an assist, and the Jets grab a lead. And here comes Grimson on the way back for Detroit. Up there with Taylor and Lapointe, a real bash and crash line for the Red Wings. Martin Lapointe to Grimson. Taylor is parked out in the slot. Manson watching him. Here's Wilkinson. Korolev and Solane pick up assists on the goal. And here comes Taylor up to the line. Has Grimson with him. Now they'll both peel back to the bench as Scotty Bowman changes them up, and this is Dave Manson with him. Olchuk is on the way, number 16 for Winnipeg. Trying to chase it down there along the boards. Olchuk gets it back. Quintal will break in over the line. Emerson is going to the slot with Olchuk. Here comes Nelson Emerson over after it. Cicerelli pulls it away from him for Detroit. Gets it to Paul Coffey. Olchuk trying to get to him, but Fetisov running a little pick there. Here comes Shepard. He'll clear it up there. Primo and Cicerelli up after it. Fetisov chopping at that puck. Up to Cicerelli. Looking around, trying to get it down low to Primo. He comes over now. Big number 55 to body it loose. He comes out. Primo gets it across. Heavy Bullen got a piece of that. Here's Shepard. Primo. Oh, what a miraculous stop by Heavy Bullen. He stunned Primo from point-blank range. Pass up ahead to Olchuk. Offside. How about that save? How about that Heavy Bullen? Wow, these fans love it here. Well, the Jets had an open net. They scored. Primo thought he had an open net. Look at Heavy Bullen. He's out of it. But no, he's not. He got right back in, got a piece of that puck. It just took the opportunity that Primo thought, because he had his hands up in the air. Primo thought for sure that he had scored, and for good reason. Put his hands up, but Heavy Bullen did the same thing. Heavy Bullen put his hands up and kept the puck out. And Heavy Bullen had just made a nice stop on Ray Shepard. Just prior to that, Shepard stuck with it and got it out in front to Primo. McCarty up there, number 25 for the Wings, trying to jar it loose. And
here we go.
Wilkinson and McCarty are going to go at it.
No surprise that McCarty's in it. Oh, but he's really, at first, getting the best punches away on Wilkinson.
Wilkinson and hanging in there against McCarty. A couple of big players. Wilkinson's no small guy himself. He's 6'3", 190 pounds.
The Red Wings may have lost Bob Probert, but they sure didn't lose any toughness. In fact, they've just gained it recently by picking up Stu Grimson as well.
Well, speaking of Bob Probert, let's see what's going on with his team. Maybe his team one of these days. Chicago. John?
Blackhawks home to the Stars in Chicago tonight. Here's a loose puck claimed by Kevin Hatcher. Now Hatcher tries the old wraparound and has Ed Belfour looking the wrong way as the Stars move out in front of the Hawks 1-0 first period.
Tonight's game brought to you in part by Chrysler Canada.
Heavy Bullen isn't exactly a goaltender that just stands up and plays his angles. He's all over the place. He's up and down, and he's all out of it. Now watch, he is definitely all out of it. But watch the way that he recovered. That hand just came from behind, got a piece of that puck, and knocked it out. But you could see by that angle, the overhead angle, that puck had not yet crossed the goal line. Great reflexes by Habibulin.
A sparkling stop.
With a name like Habibulin, you've got to be quick.
Tell you what, he moves a lot more quickly than time elapses when you have to pronounce the last name. They need the solid goaltending. We talked about that right off the top of the show. Habibulin or Cheveldae has to step forward and really give them that playoff-style goaltending. Both have at times, but neither has really taken the bull by the horns. Here comes King, burrowing up into the corner. King giving a bump, trying to chop that out in front. Drake going after it, but he couldn't get there either. Here's Quintal. Has to wait for Drake to get onside. He unloads it back in. Drake up there slamming into Constantina. That rattled the glass.
Hey, this Jet line is not short of intensity. All three of those forwards are very capable of playing the body. That's their game.
But it's a matter of keeping that intensity level up for the whole game. Timo Solane talked about that. So did Keith Tkachuk before the game.
Hey, at least they've had it here in the first period. That's more than they had with Dallas and against Edmonton.
There goes Fedorov. Shannon got a piece of him. Cicerelli with it now for Detroit. Solane up, buzzing around. Shamnov up there as well. Here's Korolev. 12:27 to go, first period. Winnipeg leading Detroit 1-0. Here comes Primo. Fedorov gets the pass. Cicerelli going in towards the net. Couldn't hook up with it there. Here comes Zamnov. Up to Korolev. Solane's up on the left side, but that was broken up at the line by Rouse.
I like Terry Simpson's comeback with his line. He had the banging, crashing line out. They got the puck deep, then came back with his skill line.
Teppo Numminen. Off the boards, and that will go for icing. Lidstrom back there to tag it up. 11:50 to go in the first period. Numminen the goal scorer. Winnipeg with the lead over Detroit.
At Dodge, we thought about how cars like this have to respond quickly. Just like you. Cars like this have to maneuver through heavy traffic. And so do you. But cars like this have a double wishbone suspension to give them that kind of control. Well, when you buy a new Dodge Stratus, so do you. Dodge Stratus, the cure for performance anxiety.
Here's a double update from Chicago Stars leading 1-0. Chelios to Savard. Perfect timing as Savard beat the rookie Mike Torquia to tie the game at 1. 12 seconds later, here's Tony Amonte's 100th career goal. It doesn't come easily. 1, 2, 3 whacks at it, and it's finally home as the Hawks take the lead at 2-1 in the first.
Scott Bowman says Paul Coffey is having, without a doubt, the best season of his career. Now, there are some who watched him play in Edmonton who may argue that, but Scott Bowman, not one of them, says this is his best year all around in the NHL.
The short season has helped, but boy, what a season he's had.
Tried to rifle one there on goal. He's back there with Fetisov.
Scotty Bowman hasn't had Paul Coffey coming to the rink either in the mornings if he didn't feel like it for that morning skate.
Yeah, you're down in that morning skate a lot of times.
We'll talk about that later when we've got about 20 minutes.
Puck comes back, whistled in towards the net by Quintal. Here's Murray. Over to Stefan Quintal. Fetisov skating back to pick it up. 11:10 to go in the first period. 1-0. Winnipeg is leading Detroit. Dallas Drake trying to dig that puck loose. And up behind the play, a couple of penalties coming up. And perhaps just one. Stu Grimson is the only one heading towards the box.
And he was up against Martin, and you would expect that those two would just go at it because Martin is known for his toughness, and we know what Stu Grimson is known for. Grimson took Martin into the boards, as you can see, pretty hard, and then came around with that jabbing elbow. That's what has sent Grimson to the box and Martin just back to the bench.
Gary, you talked earlier about that toughness with Probert not being in the lineup with Detroit, but they have McCarty and guys like Grimson. But I'll tell you one thing, they may give up a little bit of toughness, and you could argue that, but I think Darren McCarty is going to cause them a lot less heartache off the ice, perhaps. And there's got to be a lot said for that.
No question. But when you look at their toughness, it's not just in the guys that can fight. I mean, Konstantinov is a very tough defenseman for them, so they've got good speed up front, good offense, and some good toughness as well.
Newman trying to keep it in. Quintal flicks it in on goal. That's knocked away. Solane right on top of it. Newman tried to get it across. Burr picked his pocket, and away he comes. Up there with Primo. He'll just clear it in. Primo's heading back towards the bench. Burr will do likewise. The puck popping up out of play.
And speaking of toughness, you can't take anything away from the man that Burr was playing with out there. Big Primo is tough in his own way, and he's got the abilities to play a very solid role down the middle for you. And every coach in the league loves a big center iceman.
Newman has the goal in this game so far, although he is not one of their top power play snipers. Alexei Zamnov, their leading goal scorer, and leading scorer on the power play.
Stefan Quintal is back in the point for almost all of their power plays.
1:20 to go in the power play for the Winnipeg Jets. They lead the game by a score of 1-0. Here comes Drake. On the way up there, Olchuk and Eastwood also up front. This is Drake walking in. Eastwood going to the front of the net. Here's Ed Olchuk. Gets it back out. Here's Manson looking. Fired it. Tried to get it on goal, but Yzerman got a stick in front of it. Konstantinov along the boards. 3 Jets trying to work that puck loose. Olchuk getting it back out to Nelson Emerson. Looking. Shooting. That's knocked down in front. Rebound. Fired just wide by Eastwood. He was right there, right then. Eastwood coming over after it. Here's Lidstrom now. Airy hustles after that puck, sees the opening and gets it out. 40 seconds left in the power play as Drake labors towards the bench. Looks to be favoring his shoulder.
Drake is heading right to the dressing room, holding his right shoulder.
Still 27 seconds to go in the power play.
And a power play that gave the Jets a wonderful opportunity. Mike Vernon was out trying to see the puck. Now watch Eastwood. Eastwood backs off a bit, then goes right here for that puck. And he had an open net and just flipped that puck right up and over it. He couldn't have asked for any more room because Vernon was down on his belly.
The Jets get caught for too many men on the ice there during that shift, and that will nullify the remaining 27 seconds of its power play. So the teams all leave it up for the next 27, and then Detroit will go with a man advantage for 1:33.
Well, that was an interesting sequence, because you were watching the player go to the dressing room holding his shoulder, and obviously a Jet player jumped over the bench maybe too soon, seeing his injured teammate coming to the bench.
Dallas Drake heading down to the dressing room. Keith Tkachuk left earlier when he took a puck off of the side of his knee. Here comes Zamnov. Korolev couldn't knock that down. And an icing call of Winnipeg. Teams playing 4-on-4 for the next 15 seconds.
Well, Paul Coffey has been given a lot of responsibilities by Scott Bowman, and a lot in the same way as the coaches react right now to their very top players, the players that can skate with the puck, that are great skaters. They give them lots of ice time, and Scotty Bowman knows that Paul Coffey can handle that ice time. The greatest skaters in the National Hockey League, one of the most effortless skaters in the National League. You can see, as we pointed out earlier, that he's leading the National Hockey League, yes, at his age, on defense, in scoring.
Top 100 points 5 times in his career. The only other defenseman to hit 100 points. Only 2, Potvin and Orr.
And I say that at his age because at 33 years of age and having played 15 years in the league, he's racked up a lot of minutes in those 15 years.
Shepard trying to come in front. Detroit is now on the power play, but this is Jamnov coming back up for Winnipeg. Jamnov couldn't get it on goal there, and the Red Wings will set it for the power play. Jamnov was being held up a bit there behind the play. Detroit's power play the best. And here's Primo whirling down into the corner up there with it. Shepard there to help him out. Cicerelli coming up as well. Coffey and Lidstrom back at the blue line. They can both just pound it. Here's Lidstrom. Shoots. Knocked down. Bounces up towards the net. And Happy Bullen was able to grab it.
The goal judge behind was shaking his head saying, no, that puck wasn't over. Happy Bullen pounced on it from behind. And from our angle, it almost looked as though he did pounce on it over the goal line, but we don't have the greatest of angles from our broadcast position. Watch this. Happy Bullen goes way out of his net to go after Primo. Now watch this puck. He jumps back. Oh, it was real close. It was very close. Because his glove was over top of the puck, you really can't tell where that puck was, but if it was at the tip of his glove, then that puck was over the goal line.
The referee is Dave Jackson, and he was down there in position.
And he immediately signaled no, as did the goal judge, who shook his head no.
Nikolai's having a big night so far. Happy Bullen with a spectacular stop off of Primo earlier on in the period, which I'm sure you'll see again before all said and done in the highlights.
Yzerman has gone from the bench because he feels that that puck was over after having talked to Scotty Bowman and wants there to be a video replay.
1:01 still to go in the Detroit power play. 8.5 minutes to go in the first period. The Jets are leading 1-0. Teppo Numminen scored the goal for them. Here's Coffey. Fedorov is parked right in front. And now he'll swirl around, takes the pass, and zip that one just wide. Lidstrom. Numminen gets it and is able to clear it out. 45 seconds left in the power play for Detroit. Here comes Fedorov. Drops it off to Kozlov. Back to Lidstrom. Shoots. And a big skip up off the glass. It's still in play. Yzerman after it. Back out to Coffey. Up to Yzerman. And broken up by Manson, but he couldn't get it out. Fedorov after the puck. Back to Yzerman. 20 seconds left. Detroit in the power play. Yzerman to Fedorov. Gets it in front of the net. Yzerman just missed there. Here's Lidstrom. Over to Coffey. Lidstrom shoots. Scores! What a bullet. Lidstrom with a rocket. And we're tied at 1. Detroit with a power play goal.
Well, Winnipeg weren't playing aggressively. Watch, they were sitting back in the box, giving the Red Wings lots of opportunities set up. Now watch this. There's the shot. Now watch in front of the net. Happy Bullen, from this angle, will really concentrate right here on Fedorov. And see, he never had a chance to get set back up again. He went and pushed Fedorov the same way that he did Primo before, and as a result, he wasn't set for the shot.
That's a power play goal for Lidstrom at 12:26. A couple of absolutely lethal shots out there for Detroit when they're in the power play. Coffey and Lidstrom back at the blue line. Come on. Here's Jamnov. Back to Wilkinson. Puck bouncing around. It'll come to Martin Lapointe. Grimson had it tapped away from him. Konstantinov and Korolev both converging on it. Now Solane up there. Here comes Primo and a penalty coming up. It is going to be a hooking call against the Detroit Red Wings. Winnipeg power play when we come back on Molson NHL tonight.
20-foot baskets, 300-point games, 100-yard courts. In the future, athletes will make the game faster, farther, tougher. But today's athlete can choose new All Sport.
fluid replacement, unsurpassed taste, 4 thirst-quenching flavors. All Sport is a body quencher. So before it gets to this, new All Sport, the game will never be the same.
Do not become a cynic. That's a sure sign of physical and spiritual atrophy. For those of you who would seek adventure, take heart. There are yet places that speak to our souls. And to the dim-eyed know-it-alls, they will say this: I have a surprise for you.
Closed captioning this period courtesy of Regal Capital Planners, over 25 years helping Canadians reach financial independence. Terry Carkner in the box for hooking at 13-12, and Winnipeg on the power play. The Red Wings goal came in the power play. Winnipeg's at even strength.
Keith Tkachuk has still not returned to the bench of the Winnipeg Jets, and they miss him on the power play. Got his right leg apparently in ice in the dressing room.
And that a result of taking a shot off the outside of the knee. Back during the first period, early in the first period rather, he was cutting across in front of the net and took the shot. Has not been back since.
Jets miss them even strength. They'll miss them on the power play. He's only got 6 power play goals. He's not their leader. In fact, only 3rd in power play goals, but it's what Tkachuk does for you when he's on the power play. Getting that puck out of the corners, jamming the net, just as how he got hurt. Going to the net.
Well, he's a real leader with this team.
And one they hope to have wherever the Jets are next year. They hope to have Tkachuk in the lineup, but he's going to be a rich man if he is. He's going to be a rich man wherever he ends up playing in the National Hockey League next year. Free agent, and the Jets only have an opportunity, of course, to match that.
Olchuk, Jamnov, and Solane up front for Winnipeg in the power play. Here's Manson, works it across. Puck fired in. Vernon will grab it and hang on. Newman fired it in from the blue line, and Vernon able to cover it up.
I want to talk about some rich hockey players. Well, Jamnov is going to probably be pretty rich himself. Not that he isn't, because the Winnipeg Jets signed him last fall for a 1-year contract, 1 year and an option, when you could still write an option contract for about $1.25 million. But he is probably going to select arbitration. He's the leading scorers in the National Hockey League right now, and where Jamnov is situated with his 29 goals. What a season he's had, and for him, that was a great move, actually, going into or having the opportunity for arbitration, because based on this season, he'll get a bundle.
Yeah, a few great young players, rising young stars on this team, but that's going to cost the club, and that's the basis of all the problems.
But at least the Jets know that Jamnov will be here next year. They're not certain about Solane and Tkachuk, other than they say that they are definitely going to match whatever any team offers.
Yzerman pulled down there and looked appealingly towards the referee. Solane gets it across for Newman. Down low to Jamnov. Yzerman chops it away from him. Olchuk after it. Detroit very aggressive in the penalty kill. They'll get right on top of you when you have it along the boards or try to move in towards the net. Solane rifles one there. Konstantinov deflected it. Here's Solane again.
Not doing that right now, but here they started with Erie trying to get the puck out, and there's going to be another penalty.
It's going to go against Dave Manson, and he gives referee Dave Jackson an earful on the way to the box, but that will even things up with 48 seconds to go in Winnipeg's power play.
See, when you play aggressively, killing a penalty, as Erie did right here. Watch that. Puck came back to Manson. Now Erie tries to get around him because he was forcing the puck carrier at the point. Manson ends up taking a penalty, and he's arguing it, but it was pretty obvious that he virtually tackled Bob Erie.
Well, he'd disagree with you. Up in the faceoff. Lidstrom, Erie, and Coffey out there with him. Team's 4-on-4 for the next 42 seconds. And then Detroit will go on the power play. Emerson right through traffic with a nifty little move.
Coffey was coming right in his direction.
Coffey all the way up to Airy. Eisenman tried to carry it in. Lidstrom looking for it. Saw Coffey with that long pass to Airy. He's so good at that. All the way up and right on his stick. Eastwood up along the boards. Back to Shannon. Shannon trying to get outside, and Eiserman has King up there with him. Red Wings now in the power play as Karkner comes out of the box. Eastwood moving up. Karkner checks in.
Eastwood made a mistake, though, at overhandling the puck to the blue line. He should have tried to move it.
And here comes Coffey wheeling back. Scotty Bowman will try to get the power play unit out there. Here's Fedorov. Gintel watching him. Fedorov tried to come in. That was broken up by King. Here's Primo, but Fedorov was in there offside. 42 seconds left in the power play. Detroit with the man advantage. We are tied at 1. Here's Fetisov. Fedorov with it now. Primo and Cicerelli are the other two forwards. Eastwood knocked that down, and Shannon ricochets it down the ice. 25 seconds left in the man advantage for the Red Wings. 3:58 to go in the first period. 1-1 hockey game. This is Primo streaking in over the line. Primo back to Coffey. Shoots right on, and it's held by Habibulin.
Fedorov just skated in front of Habibulin at a very opportune time. That shot was coming from the point. The timing was excellent. Watch when Coffey goes to shoot. He's got the puck now. There goes Fedorov. Fedorov tried to even jump just in order to take the vision away from Habibulin. Perfect timing, and Fedorov read that, as did Coffey. Smart hockey players.
Here's Coffey again. Let's see if someone goes to the net for the screen. Fedorov down to Primo. Tried to tuck it home. Habibulin with a nice stop.
You got to go high. Habibulin goes down very early.
Penalized player back on. Here's Fedorov. Shoots. Tried to wire it for the top shelf, and it goes off the glass, off the target, and all the way down the ice. 3:24 to go in the first period. Newman has scored for Winnipeg. Lidstrom has scored for Detroit. We're all tied up. Got a good one here so far tonight. Burr up there after it. He and Newman up along the boards. Mikulchuk clears it up ahead for Zamnov. Solane up there after it. Wilkinson chopping at that. Mikulchuk up there. Number 42 for the Jets. Couldn't come up with it. And it pops into the Detroit bench, so we get a stoppage. 2:56 to go in the first period. Shots on goal are 10-5 for Detroit.
Life. Grab hold of the momentum and slow it down. Right, enjoy it, itching and clawing. To hang on to that momentarily, life will again kick in full speed. Why? Because I am.
Tonight's game brought to you in part by Chrysler Canada.
You know, Paul, it's amazing to me this season how much we're down in, well, not just in the big goal scores, but take a look at these statistics right here. Last year we had 20 teams out of the 26 that had 3 or more goals that they scored on the average per game. This year we're half that many. Now granted, it's a short season, and maybe over the course of a longer season the goal scorers would really warm up and the defense would start to back off a little bit. But our game has definitely, in a case of one short year here, all of a sudden become far more defensive.
Well, when you look at the team with the worst goals against average in the league, and you're seeing them tonight, the Winnipeg Jets, it's 3.76. And relative to years past, they'd have been right in the middle of the pack.
Sure. If goaltenders had a 3 goals against average, they were pretty good lots of years. Now they've got to have a 2 goal against average to be good.
Rouse skating back after it for Detroit. He has King right on his tail as they swoop towards the corner. Here's Shepard up there at the line with Burr and Rouse. Shepard works it to the forehand and shoots it on goal. Burr after the rebound, but he was tied up there by Neil Wilkinson. This is Lidstrom. Both teams changing them up on the go. 2:05 to go, first period. 1-1 hockey game. Olchuk clears it up ahead. Nelson Emerson. After that, Karkner gets there first, but Emerson's right in his face. Here's Olchuk. Gets it out. Shannon moving up after it. It hopped away. Airy up to Yzerman. Has Konstantinov with him. Primo 2, and offside is called in the Red Wings.
Well, the reason I bring up that whole offensive point is the fact that oftentimes teams, especially with the draft coming up, they start looking for what their needs are. Now, some might say that they have to become better defensively. Others might say, hey, the key right here is to try to get our team, who's pretty good defensively, far more goal scorers. Terry Simpson has got to look at improving his team defensively. They've got one of those teams that are in the top 10, that can score 3 or more goals, but yet defensively, they're right at the very bottom, the 26th team in the National Hockey League. I think a lot of the influence came from teams like San Jose and Florida and Anaheim and others that played very defensively and did very well, not just during the regular season, but in the case of San Jose in the playoffs.
Here comes Mike Eastwood. McCarty with it now for Detroit. Olchuk now coming in. Has Eastwood with him. Emerson up there as well. Shannon just rings it around the boards. Olchuk going after it. Konstantinov now for Detroit. Eastwood after him. This is Karkner now for the Red Wings. McCarty coming over to pick it up. Shannon worked it up, but Konstantinov throws it up ahead. Airy going after it. Quintel poked it away from him. 1:05 to go in the first period. 1-1 hockey game. Yzerman was straddling the blue line there, but the Red Wings on a change, so he'll just peel back towards the bench. And here comes Solani. Couldn't get around Primo. Cicerelli coming in. To Fedorov. Moves up, cuts in, shoots. Just missed the corner. Fedorov after it. Primo tried to wrap it around. He's knocked down. And Solani starts back. 40 seconds left in the period. Solani bumped by Cicerelli. Now Solani steps in. Jamnov is with him. Solani shooting. Great stop by Vernon. Yes, sir.
Well, Solani wanted to shake a gentleman's hand down in the corridor tonight that he had shaken before that got him a goal. Murphy's luck is what he called it. I don't know about Murph's luck tonight. The handshake maybe will pay off later in the game. It didn't pay off there. Vernon had the luck, and he had the quick hand. Watch Vernon's glove hand. All of a sudden, he had it down. He was teasing him, and then he just brought it up so quickly and made Solani mad because he felt that he kind of got pulled in.
I was going to say, when you watch the replay, you can watch him. He gave him the glove side. Said, come on, shoot it there. And bang.
Teased him and took it away.
Couple of quick draw artists, and Vernon got the drop on him that time.
Meanwhile, at the other end, did Fedorov ever get that shot away quickly? He almost picked the top corner on Abibulin.
Cicerelli right up there. Couldn't get it on goal. In front, Fedorov, another chance. Well, I'll tell you what, if you like to watch good goaltending and good stops, then I'll bet you enjoyed the first period. Abibulin had a couple of sparkling saves, and Mike Vernon, too, with a nice glove save. That's what he's smiling about.
Well, goalies did play well, but we've had some great shooters in this game, some great shots from the point. You think of Coffey, you think of Lidstrom, but Fedorov has had enough scoring opportunities, well, to see a few hats on the ice if they were cheering for the Detroit Red Wings. Abibulin with a great period.
We're tied at 1 after 1. Shots on goal in the first period, 13-6 for Detroit. Bob McKenzie and John Wells coming up during our first intermission back at TSN Hockey Control. Also check out a couple of the other games going on tonight. 1-1 after 1 on Molson NHL Tonight.
Live at the intermission is brought to you by your local McDonald's restaurants. Have you had your break today?
Welcome back. The future of Winnipeg's NHL franchise took a bit of a downturn late today. Financing for the long-term future of the franchise was to be in place by May 1st. But there are problems, and Mayor Susan Thompson didn't sound optimistic about a deal late today.
No matter what happens, we owe it to the citizens of Winnipeg to see what our plan has been, to see what tremendous efforts everybody has been prepared to put in, and we need to make sure we have this opportunity to review it with the citizens of Winnipeg, and I will go ahead with this.
I believe that there will be some help, but it's not going to solve the problem of escalating salaries. It's not going to solve the problem of a dollar that trades at 40 cents below the American dollar. And those are huge problems on top of having a small market. The league is not looking to have Winnipeg build a building and transfer the ownership to new owners who are not committed to keeping the team in Winnipeg on a long-term basis. Nor are I and my partners interested in being part of something which isn't a long-term solution. So keeping the team here for a couple of years was never our intent. Our intent was always to find a solution to keep the team here long-term.
And our reporter in Winnipeg, Mark Bunting, has been following the story all day. So, Mark, what has gone wrong?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of things have gone wrong, John. Barry Schenkro just touched on some of them there. Revenue sharing doesn't seem to be forthcoming in the near future for the NHL, and that was part of the MEC, the business group that's trying to bring the arena to Winnipeg and buy the Jets. That was hopefully going to be part of their plan. Also, the fact that the Canadian currency is where it's at, it makes it very difficult for Canadian teams. In addition to that, there's also the NHL conditions, which came down today. At the last minute, the MEC was notified that the new owners are going to have to keep the team in Winnipeg until they have lost a minimum of $25 million. So naturally, they found that very difficult to deal with. Another condition was the fact that if the Jets were transferred in 1999 or after 1999, there would be a transfer fee, which presumably would be fairly significant. And also, it's just overall, it's a very difficult deal here in terms of private and public money. It's a very thin deal, and if you look around the NHL, most of the teams are owned by wealthy individuals or wealthy corporations, and it's just not happening here.
Mark, how is this being positioned, the reaction being positioned in Winnipeg tonight? Is it a case of the inevitability of a small market in Canada not being able to survive in a very expensive NHL society? Or is it a case of people in Winnipeg feeling as though the NHL is putting conditions down that a small market couldn't hope to abide by and is really forcing the hands of the MEC not to make this deal?
Well, the MEC has said that they have the money in place, they can do this deal, but these conditions set forth by the NHL have made it virtually impossible, have made it the Jets economically unviable. So they're laying the ball in the NHL's court, so to speak, and it's being laid at their feet.
Strikes me that and you correct me if any of this is wrong along the way, the MEC is going to buy a team for 32, by majority share 64%, Barry Schenkro 64%, for $32 million Canadian. My understanding is that $25 million number of sustained losses that seems to be plucked out of the air is one that the MEC was apparently prepared to lose up to that amount of money. That works out to $57 million Canadian for a franchise that in the open market is worth, I guess, close to $75 million US, if you believe the offers that are coming in from Atlanta or Minneapolis. And then on top of that, it strikes me that the MEC is looking for government guarantees that they're not going to lose anything beyond that. Is that basically the scenario that's there? And is there any understanding of why the NHL might find that an untenable one?
Well, one thing that came forward at the end, or as part of the MEC's plan, is that they were looking for a $20 million loan from the province to cover the losses that the Jets are expected to incur in the next couple of years, which are supposed to be about $15 to $17 million. So that was part of it. But also, if you look at Barry Schenkro, you mentioned the franchise fee. As part of the agreement, the MEC could buy the team for $32 million Canadian. Barry Schenkro is a Winnipegger. He'd like to keep the team here. He has made efforts to do that. But as you just saw in some of those clips, he's also a businessman and realizes that if it's not economically viable here, he could easily sell the team to the highest bidder. And who knows what an NHL franchise, or who knows what the Jets could grab on the market, the open market, $75 million US. So who knows? It's hard to turn your nose up at money like that.
Mark, stay on top of this story. Thanks for this.
Thanks, John.
Meantime, Jets owner Barry Shankarow was devastated after hearing the news today on the radio. Highlights just ahead on Molson NHL tonight. There's the story in Winnipeg after 1. Wings and the Jets even at 1. Tonight's first period scoring summary is brought to you by your local McDonald's restaurant. 2 goals in the first period. They split them. Teppo Numminen at 4:34 from Solani and Korolev made it 1-0 Jets. Red Wings get even on Nicholas Lidstrom's 9th of the season from Coffey and Kozlev. 1-1 through 1. Detroit out shooting the Winnipeg Jets 13-6 in the opening period, and we're set for the second now at the arena in Winnipeg with Paul Romanuk and Gary Green.
Well, the good news for the Winnipeg Jets is that Keith Tkachuk is back to join them for this second period. He is right there, folks. The big number 7, the captain of this hockey club, had his knee in ice in the dressing room during most of the first period, but is back here to join his team for the second. And this man, Sergei Fedorov, only had 1 shot on net, but he had about 3 that missed the net. And he could have scored about 3 goals. In fact, Fedorov with an incredible shot. Fedorov has not had the year this year that people expected that he would have after his banner season last year. But there's a lot of offense that Scotty Bowman can divide up on this hockey team.
Fedorov, the first ever European developed hockey player to win the Hart Trophy. Of course, Stan Mikita won the Hart Trophy, a European-born player, but his formative years of development were in North America, not over in Europe as they were for Sergei Fedorov.
Speaking of shots on net, the man that's facing off right now for the Red Wings, Keith Primo, had 4 shots on net that period.
And 3 of them were, at least 3 of them were from right in close, like the crease in, trying to wrap it around or tap it in behind Happy Bullen. Well, Vernon's going to pounce on that. Eastwood bumped him a little on the way by.
Giveaway by Paul Coffey. And Eastwood jumped right on that puck. Right to start this period off, Primo taking the draw and Coffey with the puck in his own zone. It's a little late at delivering it. You see Keith Primo's statistics, but Keith Primo adds a great deal to this hockey club that can't be measured in goals and assists, because when he is out there, then he covers a lot of room. He's got a deceivingly quick pace to him. He's got that big stride, the big reach, but it's also difficult to play against a big, strong center iceman.
Here's Quintal. Fires that one. It wobbles its way in, and it's finally knocked down, and Primo will come back out. He has Cicerelli with him. Cicerelli back up for Primo. And he was bumped by Quintal. The puck just coming to Happy Bullen, who hangs on.
That was a pretty good example. Primo and Cicerelli. Cicerelli was taking about 4 strides to Primo's 1, and yet Primo ended up ahead of Dino Cicerelli. Cicerelli thought at one time this season that he was gone for sure. In fact, he thought pretty certain that he was going off to Florida, being traded to the Florida Panthers, where his former coach and general manager Brian Murray is the general manager of, but that didn't end up happening, and Dino Cicerelli may have been under pressure, but it may also have made Dino Cicerelli play some of his best hockey.
Dino's 3rd year with Detroit. Happy Bullen steers that away. Lidstrom up after it. Coffey had to go to the bench and get a new stick. He does, and he's right back into position as Primo continues trying to knock it loose. Shannon watching him. And look at Primo. Uses size there to shield the puck. Shannon watching him. Primo to Cicerelli in front to Burr. Fired that one wide. Burr will hustle up after it. Cicerelli trying to get in front. He and Eastwood were battling away. And they will resume that little confrontation. Primo coming away with it. He's knocked down by Quintal. Here's Burr. Cicerelli in front. Burr unloaded. That was blocked by Shannon. Here's Primo. The teams are at even strength. Cicerelli tied up by Eastwood. Primo up there trying to dig it loose. And he fishes that puck out. But now he has company. Shannon watching him. Primo and Shannon. Now Burr is up there. Emerson after it. And the Red Wings keep it in. Great pressure by Detroit. Here's Cicerelli. Shannon gets it.
And this line for Detroit has really been together most of the season. Sean Burr, Cicerelli, and Primo. But they were only on there for a short time together.
Eastwood to Tkachuk trying to come in on goal. Konstantinov knocked it away. Kachuk going for the front of the net. Nelson Emerson couldn't get it in there. And the Jets will make a few changes. That was a long shift for Eastwood and Emerson. They were hemmed right back in their own zone for quite some time. Here comes Fetisov, looking. And looked a little too long. Jamnov flying back up there. Takes it, shoots. Fired that one low and wide. This is Neil Wilkinson. Gets it up ahead. Korolev after it. Vernon comes out and plays it over the glass. He will take a penalty for that.
Yeah, he sure will. Delay of the game to Mike Vernon.
No question. Vernon stepped out and played it right up over the glass. And referee Dave Jackson calling the delay of game penalty on Mike Vernon.
Watch Vernon. He just picks up the puck right here. He didn't mean to scoop it over, but whoops, cut that puck kind of on the roll and put it high. And you could see that he had the finger pointed at him very quickly, not just by the referee.
Scott Bowman and Red Wings fans hoping that Mike Vernon will finally provide the kind of goaltending that many felt the Red Wings lacked last year in their stretch run and respective drive to the playoffs.
That's why they made the move to get Mike Vernon, an experienced goaltender that knows what it's like to win a Stanley Cup. And so far this season, he has done exactly what was expected of him in Detroit. So the key, of course, is to do it in postseason.
During his career, 25 or more wins in 6 of the last 8 years.
And there will be an incredible amount of pressure on Mike Vernon in the first round of playoffs, especially, Paul, if they play the San Jose Sharks. That sounds unusual because San Jose aren't known for their great offense, but it's just because of last year's series, first round, that will definitely be haunting the Red Wings.
And meanwhile, the Jets trying to get the wheels on this power play. Solane, Kachuk coming up there after it. Zamnov also up front. 1:30 to go in the man advantage for Winnipeg. A 1-1 hockey game. Detroit and the Jets here in the NHL tonight. Here comes Kachuk swinging up over the line. Has Solane up there to his left. He'll get it to him. Back for Newman. Jamnov. Kachuk coming after it. Back to Newman. Over to Manson. Kachuk drifting towards the front of the net. Here's Zamnov with it. Vernon will kick those away all night. Jamnov again. Kachuk going after it. Primo trying to outmuscle him there along the boards, and Coffey gets it out. 50 seconds left in the power play for Winnipeg.
Kachuk is tough stuff, and of course we know that, but he's skating as though he's just fine out there. The icing may have been, in fact, very precautionary because they need Kachuk for every game right now, the remaining games. Tough character. You didn't see him limping out on the ice. He was skating smoothly, and he was going right back into the corners and banging away, trying to get possession of the puck, and that's what the Jets need from this man.
The heart and leader of this team was offered a 6-year deal prior to the start of the year for $17 million.
And actually in a fan poll here in Winnipeg that asked the fans who they would rather have, surprisingly, you would think they'd say Kachuk, but because Kachuk was offered so much money and the public knew about it, they didn't vote for him. It went to Solane. But I don't think that if anyone's going to go, it won't be Kachuk.
Offsetting minor slashing penalties to Kachuk and Keith Primo.
These fans love the intensity that Kachuk usually delivers to them, and he's the first to say that he wasn't delivering it on Tuesday night.
Here's Quintel. Airy streaking up after it. Almost bust his way past Olczyk there. Here's Emerson. "15 seconds left in the power play for Winnipeg. Here's Emerson. Up for Korolev, jabbing at that puck. It comes to Bob Airy. Emerson knocked it down. Couldn't keep it in, though. Penalized player is back on. The team's at even strength. This is Korolev winding it up for the Jets. Trying to weave outside. Gets in over the line, but Olczyk was offside on the right wing. 15:34 to go in period number 2. We're tied at 1 in Molson NHL tonight.
Last year, our employees earned almost $1 billion in salaries. Our suppliers and their employees earned over $5 billion. And we exported over $9 billion worth of products built here. To you, they're just components of your new car. But the sum of these parts is the livelihood of over 90,000 Canadians. At Chrysler, we're not just building cars, we're building Canada.
Hi, I'm Cam Neely. Welcome to my workout. Let's start with a little scrimmage. Hey, come on. 1 and 2. Keep those elbows down. Remember to breathe. Now you want to get yourself right in front of the net. You know you're doing it correctly if you feel it right back in here. Let's head to the gym. Move those legs. Come on. Pump it. Pump it. Stay with me. Breathe. Back to the ice. Now for a really good workout, try playing against a future Hall of Famer like Ray Bourque. If you don't have a Ray Bourque, just use whatever you have around the house.
Closed captioning this period courtesy of UAP Napa Auto Parts, the Pro's Choice at 2,600 member installer and Auto Pro service centers right across Canada. We're tied at 1 here at the Winnipeg Arena. I'm Paul Romanuk, along with Gary Green, John Wells, and Bob McKenzie back at TSN Hockey Control. As the season winds down towards the playoffs, some great races going on, and the Jets are right in the thick of one, trying to get that last playoff spot. Here comes Fedorov. Fired one. Missed by a couple of inches, if that.
Yzerman not on that right wing with Fedorov any longer. Martin Lapointe is up there.
What a surprise. Scott Bowman juggling his lines around.
It shocked you, did it, Paul?
Who'd have believed that? Here's Gillen up there after it. Taps it in front. King scores!
Whoa.
Jets a 2-1 lead.
Vernon had trouble. He went out to stop the puck. He didn't. But then he came back. He was set for this, but it was just a top-notch shot. Top-notch it was. He was upset, and he rang the post himself. But that puck went right off the crossbar and into the net.
That's only Chris's third goal of the year. Gillen picks up an assist at 4:58. Here's Taylor. Craig Martin also picks up an assist. So it's King from Martin and Gillen at 4:58. And the Jets with the lead.
You talk about intensity. There's an intense player, Chris King, that I think a lot of teams inquired about at the trade deadline. This is that fourth line intense player. Watch this shot. Right off the crossbar and in. Boy, you could hear it ring all the way upstairs here. And ring it did. Crossbar and in. He hung that shot. So even if Mike Vernon had been a little bit better prepared and up for that shot, I'm not sure that he would have stopped it anyway. It was the perfect shot.
By the way, that assist for Craig Martin on the goal, his first career point. Nelson Emerson skating back after it. Here comes Emerson. And there goes Yzerman. Yzerman cuts up there to Taylor. McCarty is up there as well for Detroit. Taylor was bumped along the boards by Eastwood, and Wilkinson coming back with the spoils. Tried to get it up there to Wolchuk. Now Karkner with it. Wilkinson will lift it in.
With McCarty and Taylor out there with Yzerman, Yzerman can take even more of a defensive role. He's good defensively. And McCarty gets him the puck.
Here comes Samnov breaking in. Shoots. Vernon stopped in the rebound. Just knocked into the corner. Korolev tried to throw it back in front. Samnov centers it, and Vernon will grab it and hang on. Great chance for Samnov here. Let's see what's going on in Chicago.
This is Joe Murphy taking the shot, and it's from a long way out as Murphy took it from the opening faceoff from Bernie Nichols. 26 for Murphy, and it's now 3-1 Chicago leading Dallas.
Great opportunity by Zhamnov, someone that knows all about scoring this season. The leading goal scorer for the Winnipeg Jets and third in the league. Watch this. Zhamnov breaks through, and that's what he's done this season. He has been very gutsy in his performance. He's broken through the defense. He's been able to go wide, cut to the net. Zhamnov has shown the Winnipeg Jets why, in fact, he will be worth a lot of money to them. What a scoring touch he's had, and he has really outplayed Timo Solani this season.
Zhamnov did a nice job of holding off former national teammate Vladimir Konstantinov there to get that scoring chance. Emerson off the grass, scores! Tkachuk! Keith Tkachuk puts the Jets on top, 3-1.
He's winning faceoffs. Eastwood was battling. It was really a tie, but you can see Tkachuk where he positioned himself. There's the short little pass. Emerson to Tkachuk, and Tkachuk just buried that shot.
2 goals in a minute and 31 seconds. King and then Tkachuk. Emerson picks up an assist.
Emerson was very quick at jumping in to that open ice, looking for that loose puck after the faceoff. Once he saw that Eastwood was just battling his center iceman for it.
Here's Quintal. Eastwood is way up the middle. The pass just missed him. Emerson going after it. Tkachuk up there to slam into Burr. Rouse skating back after the puck. Solana have to watch him. Zhamnov is up there. Here's Zhamnov. Gets it out. Korolev fired that puck. He ripped it. Abby Bullen up to Shannon. Tried to get it to Solane, who was just straddling the center ice line. Quintal now on his way. This is Lidstrom. Winding away from Solane. Fedorov there to help him out. Up to Coffey. He can fly, but he's offside coming down the right wing. The Jets with 2 goals in a minute 31. They lead it by a pair.
Out on the ice, I don't score points for how my hair looks. But after the game, in front of the press, and the cameras are just inches away, and millions of fans are watching, my hair has to look great. And great hair can't have flakes. No way. So I get rid of them with Head & Shoulders. It keeps my dandruff in check, and my hair looking great. Hey, you can't hide under a helmet all the time.
Head & Shoulders, every day.
With great hair, can't have flakes.
3-1 the Hawks leading the Stars. A little bit of an explosion in Chicago. Chicago with a 2-man advantage here. It's Bernie Nichols over for Gary Suter, and Suter makes it 4-1 Hawks.
Scoring the goal, but watch the faceoff. Now over to the right is Emerson. Fetisov is as well, but Fetisov was very slow at getting across. Rouse was caught in the middle. Does he go to Emerson, or does he stay in front of the net to take Tkachuk? He ended up staying in the middle, but Fetisov didn't move quickly enough, getting from the alignment. He was up against the boards with Emerson.
What a nice shot that was by Tkachuk as well. You could see in the replay, just rang it in right underneath the bar. And he had Vernon diving across trying to make the miraculous save. Kozlov gets it up ahead. Shepard going after it. Solane up ahead to Korolev. Zhamnov stopped up there at the line. Mikulchuk up ahead for Solane. Couldn't quite wheel it in. Here's Korolev. Coffey blocked that. Solane in front for Zhamnov. He took a whack at it, and Yzerman starts back now for Detroit. Yzerman coming up there. He has Kozlov with him and Shepard, but they'll all head off to the bench. Scotty Bowman gets in the change on the go. 11:15 to play in the second period. Winnipeg leading 3-1. Terry Karkner. Over to Konstantinov. Has Taylor up ahead of him.
Going to be icing.
And icing called on Detroit.
Jets were able to get that quick change in because the puck was in the neutral zone. Detroit weren't. So I think Detroit may be just as happy with the icing. Terry Simpson's got to be pleased with his team's performance, especially the way that they have come out and started the second period. They played a good first period. Habby Bullen really kept them in and kept the score close. And so right now, the way that the Jets are playing in this second leads you to believe that if they can play this way, they will win this hockey game. But that's, of course, a long ways off. And Detroit, with the best offensive team in the National Hockey League, yes, they're even better than Quebec when it comes down to goals for. They're the only team in the league, in fact, close to 4 goals a game.
Manson shoots, rebounding quick. King just tapped it wide. King already has 1 in this game.
I should say the closest to 4 goals a game because Quebec are right behind them.
But you think back, April 19th, these two clubs played. Winnipeg had a 4-1 lead and had to settle for a 5-all tie. They just lost it. Olchuk just tapped it over the net. Great pressure here by Winnipeg. They are really flying here in this second period. But King up there after it, and play stopped.
When they play with this type of intensity, they can beat anyone. Tkachuk just got, or King, I should say, really got popped in the face. And that hurt him right away. McCarty took one good swat at King and caught him.
King has a goal in this game.
McCarty had his gloves off. King didn't. King may have just pulled McCarty right into a penalty.
Here's a close-up look at intensity. Look at King in there.
King came in, and then McCarty came in afterwards, and I'll watch. McCarty had his gloves off already, popped King in the face once. King wasn't looking for a fight. He wanted to stay on the ice. But he's going off the ice anyway. Yeah, the fans aren't too happy about that. And I'm not sure that I disagree with them.
Well, the season winding down. We will wind up our regular season coverage on Monday night. The Toronto Maple Leafs against the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton battling for a playoff spot with the Winnipeg Jets. The Toronto Maple Leafs, at this point, going for home ice advantage in the first round of the playoffs. So this game could have a rather large meaning.
The Edmonton Oilers firmly believe they can make the playoffs. What a logjam we have in the Western Conference.
Hey, it's great with this short season. A couple of benefits to it. Number one, you have so many teams in the race because it's only 48 games. But number two, I think you're going to have an awful lot of veteran players, like Coffey, for example, very fresh in the playoffs.
Less than a week to go in the schedule, and not having a team out of the playoff run in the Western Conference is great for hockey.
Ciccarelli gets it up for Rouse. Teams playing 4-on-4, offsetting minor penalties to McCarty and King. 3-1, Winnipeg leading Detroit. Tkachuk racing up after it. Vernon is going to come out. Did not hesitate a bit. Puck fire left for the empty net. Vernon with the save. Eastwood scores! With a gift, and he unwrapped that present. It's 4-1 Winnipeg.
Mike Vernon's been a little sloppy when he's come out of his net tonight. He came out and put that puck into the open, but
no goal is called offside.
Oh. There you see Eastwood putting the puck in the net. Vernon was right out of it. But as you've heard Paul say, and watch this, Tkachuk ducks. No, Tkachuk wasn't offside.
That was close. I don't think he was either. If Tkachuk was in fact the offside.
Well, if they're saying Tkachuk was offside, from that Jackson doesn't think so. Fans didn't think so. Let's take a look at across the blue line. There's the shot. No, right there in the middle of your screen, the left of your screen, actually, you could see a white sweater, but he was on the blue line.
So it remains 3-1 Winnipeg. The goal disallowed because of the offside. And Mike Vernon, among others, will breathe a huge sigh of relief because he was caught there. Lidstrom and Zamnov going after it. Zamnov trying to get it loose. Fedorov there will knock it away.
I think the Red Wings got lucky, and the Jets had one stolen away from them.
And a penalty coming up now against Detroit as Zamnov was dumped. So Winnipeg will have a 4-on-3 man advantage when we come back.
Unchained, linked to a native instinctive appetite to break free, wheeling, leaving the city's limits behind, sight disappearing in the rearview mirror. Why? Because I am.
There are no prizes for giving someone a reason to smile. No ticker-tape parades for unlocking life's little mysteries. But to the men who give their best every day, we offer our best. Gillette Sensor XL. Spring-mounted blades and microfins to set up your beard. And Gillette Series Aftershave Gel for extra comfort. Sensor XL, the world's best shave. And sometimes that's its own reward. Gillette, the best a man can get.
Because hockey season lasts until July, Micotin penetrates the skin to kill athlete's foot.
So Kozlov going off, and Winnipeg going on the power play, a 4-on-3 power play, a hooking call on Kozlov. It'll be a 4-on-3 power play for the next 30 seconds. And then it'll go to a 5-on-4 man advantage. Solane, Tkachuk, and Zamnov up front for Winnipeg. Numanen with it. Gets it across to Zamnov. Drops it off. Solane to Numanen. Up to Zamnov. Here's Numanen. Here it comes. And that's stopped by Eisenman. He'll reload, refire. That's stopped. Scramble in front, and Vernon down there to cover it up.
You know, though, Tkachuk was in the crease, and he should have got a penalty there for interfering on Mike Vernon. You can stand out in front of the crease, but you can't stand where Tkachuk was standing. And he's being told that right now. Watch. He got pushed out, but watch. His feet are definitely both inside the crease. Look at them. Clearly in. That's goaltender interference, and he can't do that. He should have been penalized. Take a look at it from this angle. You think he was in the crease? And Jackson warned him after the whistle and told him he can't be there. But I'll tell you what, a lot of money's on the line tonight for Detroit. Playoff spot obviously on the line. Chance 4-1 for Winnipeg. You can't give a guy a warning. That's in the rules.
A win for Detroit. Here's Numanen with it. Will clinch first overall. Here's Numanen. Gets it up to Zamnov. Tkachuk is parked right in front. Not in the crease this time, but he's there to get the rebound and almost chopped it in. Solane. Back up for Numanen. Shoots. Scores! And Tkachuk may have tipped it. Vernon's had a tough
time in front of the net, but watch Tkachuk. He parks himself perfectly this time. He tipped that puck. I think he deflected it because it beat Vernon because it went low. It fooled Vernon. Watch from this angle. Yeah, no question. Tkachuk touched the puck. It deflected. Vernon had his hand up there to catch it. Watch it from this angle. There's the shot. Vernon's got his hand up, his pad out, but Tkachuk deflected it.
Newman will pick up an assist. And that's a power play goal for Winnipeg. The Jets with a 4-1 lead. Timo Solane also picks up an assist. Newman with a goal and an assist in this game. Solane has a couple of assists. And Tkachuk has 2 goals. The big names coming through in the big game.
So it also kind of evened out because Winnipeg had a goal called back on them. It was offside, and it was offside by Tkachuk, they say.
Here comes Martin Lapointe. Abby Boulin stops that, and he will hold on to it. It's 4-1 here for Winnipeg. Let's see what's going on in that game involving the Edmonton Oilers, John.
St. Louis Blues in town to face the Oilers. Critical game for the Oilers in this one. Underway, it is Corson's shot. Casey gives up a big rebound, and Ken Sutton has a wide-open net to give the Oilers a 1-0 lead on the Blues.
Well, they say Tkachuk was offside. He wasn't offside, so the goal was called back. But Tkachuk shouldn't have scored that goal, shouldn't have been able to score that goal simply because he should have been in the penalty box for interference on Mike Vernon.
Keith Tkachuk coming back tonight. If you joined us late, he was winged on the side of the knee back in the first period and left early in the period, did not return, put some ice on the leg, and he's returned here in the second with a vengeance. He scored a couple of goals. Don't look now, Gary, but back in April the 19th, similar situation. Winnipeg was playing a great game. They had a 4-1 lead over the Detroit Red Wings. They were dominating. And they ended up tying that game 5-all as it slipped away. Here's Gillen. And that clears the glass and goes out of play. 7:31 to go in the second period. 4-1 Winnipeg leading.
Detroit's got to be pretty concerned. This is a big game for them tonight, as we told you. The opportunity to clinch the President's Cup, the Western Conference. And they've given up 4 goals already in this hockey game. We talked in the first period about how good this team has been defensively this season. First overall, but in their last 4 games, now 5 games, they've given up 4 goals or more. So their defense is slipping, and it's not a time of the year that Scotty Bowman wants to see that happen.
The highest number of goals the Red Wings have given up in a game this year, 6. Here comes Taylor. Shoots. Rebound in front. Lapointe up there after it. Heavy Boulin pokes it away. Lapointe continues right after it. Rouse at the line. Holding off King. This is Taylor with it. Lapointe. Here's Stu Grimson. Martin Lapointe over there. Knocks Wilkinson down. Grimson gets it. Taylor tried to wrap it around. Heavy Boulin stopped that. The Red Wings back with a vengeance. Trying to put some pressure on Heavy Boulin. They really tested him in the first period when they ripped 13 shots his way. Here comes Gillen. He has King up there with him. Fetisov has lost his stick, so he gloves it ahead to Grimson. King bumping him. 6:36 to play here in the second period. Lead pass up for Emerson. He and Airy going after it. Eastwood comes up there as well. And icing is called on Winnipeg.
Emerson was getting a rough ride over. Well, you mentioned about the Detroit Red Wings. They came back last Saturday night. Well, they could come back again tonight because they've got lots of offense. There you see the scoring leaders for the Detroit Red Wings. Paul Coffey, Fedorov, Primo, Shepard, and Ciccarelli. Shepard had 3 shots on net. In the first period, Primo with 4. Steve Yzerman started the game at right wing. He's back at center ice. His natural position.
Talked to Steve before the game, and he was adamant that at this stage of his career, it's a Stanley Cup that he wants. That's it. Forget the individual accomplishments. Airy fires one in. Heavy Boulin stops that.
He doesn't care if he has to play defense. He wants to stay on this team and have a chance to win a Stanley Cup.
Very interesting. He said he could retire not having won a Hart Trophy and not be all that disappointed, but to retire and not to have won a Stanley Cup would be something that he would prefer not to have to live with. He'd be very disappointed about that. Here's Quintal. Waist high, and Vernon's going to hang on to that.
I don't think Yzerman will be retiring soon, though, because I think he's got a contract that calls for about $3.5 million next year, $4 million the year after, so $7.5 million in the line. I don't think he'll be discussing retirement yet.
155 points back in 88-89. That would be the high water mark for Steve Yzerman during his career. One of only 4 players with 150 points in a season. 150 plus. Only played 58 games last year, though. There were those who were wondering whether or not his days would be numbered, Gary, because he had a herniated disc, which can be very tricky in terms of how you're going to rebound off something like that.
And people wondered whether he was going to be traded. Very difficult to trade Steve Yzerman in Detroit. The fans love him, and he's done a lot for that organization over the years. You can't place not getting a Stanley Cup on his shoulders solely.
Here comes McCarty. Kozlov and Fedorov up there with him, but that puck floats way up and out of play. 5:34 to go here in the second period. Jets, home ice has been...
A couple of years that we did go to the semifinals, and that was the most exciting period of my career, getting an opportunity to play in the Stanley Cup semifinals. I'd like to get to that point and beyond that point. The only thing that would really matter is, is winning the Stanley Cup. And I've said before that not winning a Hart Trophy or not winning anything else wouldn't be a disappointment to me. But if my career ended and I didn't win a Stanley Cup, that would be a disappointment.
.534 to go. Here's Coffey. Walks right in, shoots. Happy Bullen waved that one away, got the arm on it.
And it's nice to hear that from Steve Yzerman, because you've got to hope that young players coming into the National Hockey League now and in the years to come really truly want to win a Stanley Cup as badly as Steve Yzerman does, and even players like Wayne Gretzky that have won Stanley Cups before still want to win more.
Oh, Steve made a reference to a couple of trips quite a way down the aisle towards the Stanley Cup, but it's been frustrating certainly the last few years. Winnipeg up 4-1 here, 5:27 to go in the second period. Here's Lidstrom. Coffey tried to punch one in, ends up on the mesh. And they'll whistle the play down. The faceoff will come back outside of the blue line. The cynical side of me would sort of look at things and go, it's great to hear Steve Yzerman talking like that, but players get paid to play the regular season. They go all the way through the regular season, make their couple of million or whatever. Then you've got to go through to win the Stanley Cup, Gary. 2 months of playoffs, and the payoff at the end in terms of bonus money is comparatively laughable to what they're making during the season.
I know it is, but I think that players think more about that when they're already out and sitting back and maybe can say, well, maybe that's the case. But I don't know any hockey player that doesn't want to win a Stanley Cup. And that's just the way that it should be, Paul, regardless of the amount of dollars that are paid during the regular season. And some would argue that that's why they make so much money during the regular season, is to win the Stanley Cup.
Well, you hope it always stays that way. McCarty up after it. Up to Fedorov. McCarty and Kozlov buzzing around up there. Coffey right in from the point. Gets it in front, scores! Fedorov. And it is 4-2. The Wings take one step back. Fedorov set up by Coffey.
And that's why you can never count them out. Here's a team that scored all 4 goals last year a game and are close to that this year, so they're never down and out. Coffey throws it, of course, to Fedorov. Fedorov with his head up, but Coffey surely with his head up. Coffey had lots of time, too much time for Terry Simpson, watching Coffey with the puck and able to just put that puck right in Fedorov's direction.
Coffey picks up an assist in the goal at 15:07, Fedorov's 20th of the year. And a penalty coming up. Stay tuned following tonight's game for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by the real estate professionals that make the difference. Aim higher with Royal LePage.
Last year, hundreds upon hundreds joined the force. When you're buying or selling, call the force in real estate. Royal LePage.
Dino Ciccarelli gets called for slashing. And Winnipeg will go on the power play. Big power play here. Maybe they can derail the momentum that Detroit has started to build up coming off of Fedorov's goal. Coffey and McCarty with the assists, by the way, at 15:07.
Terry Simpson has got to be concerned because of the fact that this Detroit Red Wing team are so great offensively. They're sitting in the penalty box right now, and his team has the opportunity to jump back. But he knows the strength of the Detroit Red Wings, and I don't think he likes the fact that his team has let up with the intensity in the last 5 minutes. The only way you're going to beat the Red Wings is you keep coming at them.
Tkachuk, Samnov, Solane up front in the power play for Winnipeg. Manson and Newman back at the blue line. Tkachuk has the power play goal for the Jets, one of two that he scored in this period. Manson gets it up. Knocked down and cleared out by Bob Rouse. Burr, Primo, Fetisov, and Rouse, the penalty killers out there for Detroit.
Rouse very good at just chipping that puck up along the boards of the glass. Just along the boards as he did in that case.
Samnov, nice pass up to Tkachuk. Solane up for Tkachuk. In back of the net, Samnov up there with him. Here's Samnov. Tkachuk trying to battle his way in front. That's where he scored one of the goals. Was able to redirect it. Here's Samnov. Gets it in front. Solane drilled it. And Burr gets it down the ice.
Red Wings were paying a lot of attention to Tkachuk in front of the net, and that opened up some open ice for Solane. Good play.
And we'll see if that transpires again, if they can get it set up in the offensive zone. 1 minute left in the power play. Here comes Solane. Olchuk up back in the net. Tkachuk isn't out there. He's headed off. Olchuk out there to replace him.
But Solane was too late getting back in front of the net.
Bob Aries shoots one. Happy Bullen knocks that down. And a penalty coming up. It's going to be a slashing call. And it will go against the Winnipeg Jets. So that will even things up. 45 seconds had remained in Winnipeg's power play. It's Manson heading off.
No surprise. I mentioned about Solane. He was just late getting back after he had been hit along the boards by Konstantinov. He was slow at coming back into the slot. Watch Manson right here. The left side. Just a bad, undisciplined penalty on his part. He just wound up and had a rather good slash that was also rather obvious.
Solane with the great chance earlier in the power play as he drilled one from the slot. Solane having a pretty good night. Has a couple of assists for the Winnipeg Jets.
But yet, Solane, unlike the year before last, he always had great jump. He'd take a hit, he'd get right back into the play, he'd look for the open ice, he'd break to the net. He hasn't done that this season on a consistent, effective basis.
Would that have anything to do with the severed Achilles tendon that he suffered last year? Maybe it's taken a bit of the jump away.
Some people also say the hit by Mike Pekka in a game that we did in Vancouver. Others go back to a big hit by Marshman.
Teams had even strength for the next 30 seconds. And then Detroit will go on the power play. This is Quintal up there with Tkachuk. They crisscross at the line. Quintal will clear it in. Tkachuk going up there after it. Yzerman tapping it. Quintal Moves it in on goal, and Vernon is going to hang on to that with a big surprise. Keith Tkachuk right in front looking for a rebound.
But just back to Solani for 1 sec. Putting all that aside, let's not also forget that he's also still on a 40-goal pace. There was an 84-game season, so not all that bad of a season for Timo Solani. Tough to be overly critical.
Wearing number 8 as opposed to number 13 that he had on last year.
Not scoring the big goals, the big numbers that he did a couple of years ago, but then again, as we talked about earlier, Timo Solani and many other big goal scorers aren't scoring the way that they did last year and the year before.
Timo Solani has played in this tournament before, but he won't be there this year. The World Hockey Championship, Canada going up against Russia, and Canada playing its first round of games in Yavla, where you may recall the World Junior Championship was played a few years ago. Penalty coming up against Winnipeg.
Gillen's going to take a tripping penalty for hauling down Fedorov or hooking. One or the other, he's going to go off and sit for a couple of minutes. Randy Gillen, being one of their best checking center icemen and their best face-off man, used that stick not for face-offs this time, but for hooking.
I'll tell you what, Winnipeg is in Dutch here in 4 seconds. Detroit will have a 5-on-3 man advantage.
Chris King's kind of in an unusual position there. He was surrounded by 3 Detroit Red Wings. Shepard, Coffey, and Lidstrom, and chatting it up with all of them. And you could bet it wasn't on a friendly manner. He's not finished yet either.
No. Shot, and I won't finish the sentence for you. Anyone who can read lips, we apologize.
For Chris.
Fedorov up there after it. Javi Bullen will hang on. 2-man advantage now for the Detroit Red Wings. 2:43 to play in the second period. It's 4-2. Winnipeg is leading.
Well, this is where this man has really got to put on a little bit of a show right now. Fedorov, and of course Coffey's out there with him, and Lidstrom. How long Paul Coffey could still play in this league? Look into a crystal ball, you might say 5 years more, 6 years more.
Well, I still see Mark Howe playing.
At 40.
Yeah. Here's Cicerelli. Fedorov and Shepard, the other forwards. Coffey's right up there. Lidstrom. Firepower galore. Here's Coffey. Over to Lidstrom. Back to Coffey. Cicerelli's parked there in front. Coffey works it up. Coffey still. Back to Lidstrom. Shepard. To Lidstrom. Fedorov and Cicerelli are in front. Shepard had the chance. He was stopped. And Cicerelli just tapped it wide. Stefan Quintal with a great play there. He made the first save on Shepard. That stop, rebound, fired away by Cicerelli. The Jets hanging in there.
And Cicerelli had the top of the net available to him. He knew where he wanted to put it. Getting it there was a different story.
Dino just couldn't get it up.
Watch Cicerelli right here. Now Javi Bullen is down. He's out. That puck went right across. That was one opportunity that Cicerelli had. Watch the other. Javi Bullen down once again, and that's the second opportunity that Cicerelli had with the top of the net available to him.
26 seconds left in the 2-man advantage. Here's Coffey. Just feathered it in there. Lidstrom fires it. That's stopped by Javi Bullen. Point blank.
Nobody in front of Lidstrom's shot, though. Easy for Javi Bullen to save that one. He's been trying to clear the net himself too often tonight. This time he didn't have to. There's the pass by Yzerman right back. Now Lidstrom's in a perfect position right in the middle of the net. And he moved in. He had it lined up perfectly. But why isn't there anyone in front? Well, Cicerelli came in and tried to knock that puck down. but Abby Bullen could see it clearly. No one in front of him.
Yzerman, Cicerelli, and Primo up there now for Detroit. Fetisov and Coffey back at the point. And I wonder if Primo will go right to the front of the net if they can feed it back to the point. Here's Primo. Tried to wrap it around. Fetisov. Coffey shoots. That's stopped by Abby Bullen and cleared out by Tkachuk.
And again, you got to keep those shots down because I think that one grazed Dino Cicerelli's cheek.
Offside called on Winnipeg. 34 seconds now to go in a one-man advantage for the Red Wings.
A little bit of a catch-22. You want your forwards to go in front of the net and stand there and block the goaltender, then your defense surely has to do them a favor and keep the shots down where, in fact, they can deflect them or tip them in.
Dino Cicerelli, 500 goals and over 1,000 career points and over 1,000 career games.
And a good season this year. Short season, Dino to pick up 15 goals, 24 assists. A good year for Dino Cicerelli, especially when you consider that he has to share the ice time with a lot of other great forwards.
Here's Coffey. 30 seconds left in the one-man advantage for Detroit. Cicerelli up there. Back to Coffey. Primo parking himself in front, but he couldn't get right in front of Abby Bullen, who saw the shot.
Cicerelli got dumped that time going to the net. I think Shannon dumped him.
10 seconds left in the power play for the Red Wings. And less than a minute of play to go here in the second period. It's 4-2 Winnipeg. Yzerman up to Cicerelli. Fedorov moving up there into the action. Yzerman after it. Here's Fedorov waiting. Down to Yzerman. To Cicerelli. Fedorov going to the front of the net. And Cicerelli couldn't get it out to him.
Shannon didn't realize that they were even strength. He should have gone right at his man.
Wilkinson and Yzerman were really mixing it up there, and they'll resume the battle in front. And what a stick there by Wilkinson as he hit Yzerman, and he in turn is dumped. They were battling in back of the net, then it moved to the front, and you could see Neil Wilkinson really give Yzerman a jab with the stick. 29 seconds left in the period.
Well, that's taken the wind right out of Steve Yzerman.
It all started in back of the net. Wilkinson and Yzerman had a very spirited battle going along the boards. And then as the puck went towards the corner, they both went to the front of the net and locked up again.
Well, Wilkinson's in the penalty box. Steve Yzerman goes to the bench on his own. Wilkinson's getting tossed. Is he getting more than the 2 minutes, or is the fact that there's just so little time left?
He picks up 5 minutes.
He does.
A 5-minute major. I think this will be a spearing penalty.
And Winnipeg number 2, Neil Wilkinson, 5 minutes for spearing.
Wilkinson gets a spearing penalty, and Cicerelli picks up a tripping penalty. Cicerelli gets a penalty because after Yzerman had been speared, he skated by and tripped Wilkinson.
Wilkinson going to the dressing room so as to avoid the Detroit Red Wings, someone perhaps like McCarty or Stu Grimson, meeting him at the end of the period. Terry Simpson shaking his head, knowing that they're just giving Detroit opportunities to get back in the game.
Here comes Mike Eastwood. Tried to drop it back for Tkachuk. The team's at even strength for the next couple of minutes. And then Detroit will go on a 3-minute power play.
Fedorov just got a good piece of Tkachuk, knocked him off balance.
Up to Eastwood, but time will run out on him. Took the shot well after the horn had gone to end the period. Detroit can look forward to a 3-minute man advantage in the final period once it gets going.
Well, the Red Wings will go into the third period with lots of confidence because of their offense. Meanwhile, the Winnipeg Jets are going to have to talk a lot this intermission about how they're going to come out and whether or not they can play 20 intense minutes of disciplined hockey.
Keith Tkachuk with a couple of goals in the second period. That is the margin of difference right now. Scotty Bowman's Wings trailing 4-2. John Wells and Bob McKenzie standing by back at TSN Hockey Control. They'll take you through all of the other action tonight. It's 4-2 after a couple of periods. A great third shaping up on Molson NHL tonight.
Second period scoring summary is brought to you by Midas. For brake exhaust and steering service, trust your car to Midas. Lots of scoring in this period with Chris King leading it off for the Jets in a 2-1 lead. At that point, 4:58. Randy Gillen drawing one assist. Then Keith Tkachuk got 2 in a row for Winnipeg, making it 3-1 with Eastwood and Emerson. Numanen and Solani assisting on the second Tkachuk goal, making it 4-1. Red Wings come back. Fedorov gets his 20th of the season from Coffey and McCarty at 15:07. Shots in the period favor Detroit 17-14 over Winnipeg for a 2-period total of 30-20 as we send you back for the third period at the arena in Winnipeg.
Well, I'm sure Terry Simpson wasn't too pleased with Wilkinson's penalty, and he had some discussions at the end of the period with the officials. And the reason being, and I need to clarify this, is the fact that Neil Wilkinson, there's a new guy working at Winnipeg Arena, Mike Vernon cleaning up the place.
Now, Mike, you haven't played that bad a game tonight. I don't think they'll replace you.
But Neil Wilkinson picked up a 5-minute major for spearing, which carries an automatic game misconduct. If it had been for slashing, then you can get either a 2-minute minor penalty or a 5-minute major penalty at the referee's discretion, or you can get a 5-minute major penalty and a game misconduct. But Terry Simpson has lost Wilkinson for the whole game because it was a 5-minute major penalty for spearing that carries an automatic game. And a $100 fine too to Neil Wilkinson.
Which is a joke. The whole fine structure in the NHL. And Brian Burke readily admits that. No joking matter here for Winnipeg, though. They are going to be in tight in another minute and a half. Detroit will have a 3-minute power play. Here in the third period, Winnipeg is leading by a score of 4-2. Solane right up there. Here comes Martin Lapointe back the other way. Kozlov is with him. Great chance for Solane right off the bat.
Do you think that in the Detroit dressing room, in that intermission, that the figure $200,000 might have come up?
Just might have. $200,000, the prize awarded to the team that wins the overall NHL points title during the regular season. Detroit can clinch that tonight with a victory.
So that divided up against, well, with all the players on the Red Wings roster right now, comes out to about, what, $7,000 or $8,000 tonight that each of them would pick up. That's worth a big third period. This guy right here, Zhamnov, could do something about that and put it out of reach for the Red Wings.
Shannon comes in offside. Solane ticked about that call, goes over to chat with the linesman. That was close. He thought he was onside. I thought he was too, actually. It happened very quickly, but I thought he had slowed up.
Well, what the Jets could use right away is a goal to give them the momentum. Because in 55 seconds, they're going to have to kill off a penalty for 3 minutes.
The Detroit Red Wings have one power play goal tonight. Nicholas Lidstrom scored a power play goal back in the first period. Abby Boulin. Kozlov going after it. And play whistled down. The Winnipeg net dislodged. That's why play was stopped.
Kozlov slipped and then went sliding for about 30 feet.
Well, they're finally going again in baseball. This is the real stuff, not exhibition.
Hey, the Jays after yesterday looked like they had the offense of the Detroit Red Wings.
Poor Dave Stewart, the former Jay, was slapped around by his former teammates. David Cohn picked up the win. California against Toronto, that is coming up this Saturday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Dan Shulman along with Buck Martinez to bring you all the action. Jays 7-1 winners today as well. So lots of offense to start things off.
2 big days for the Jays.
And of course, when you play hundreds of games in baseball, every game of critical importance. Tkachuk moves it up. Here's Konstantinov.
Tell that to the teams that are 1 game back in the final week of the schedule.
Oh, I was deadly serious. Here comes Primo. And Primo goes to the net. And
there goes Primo. Abby Boulin had to do a little acrobatic maneuvers himself.
Face-off will be moved back outside the blue line.
Watch Primo. He got pulled down, and that's why he ended up inside the net.
14,081 here tonight, by the way. They just announced the attendance.
So Abby Boulin can't blame Keith Primo. Who we could blame, though, was Stefan Quintel that took Primo down. Might be our last game ever here in the Winnipeg Arena, Paul.
Well, just to play the devil's advocate, you want a new building, but you can't fill the one you have now. 14,081 here tonight. Here comes Fedorov. Newman back there to pick it up. Gives it away to Cicerelli. Gillen couldn't get it out. Here's Coffey poking at it. 2 minutes and 42 seconds left in the Detroit 3-minute man advantage. They trail the Jets 4-2. And Manson steers it down the ice. Here's Lidstrom. Lidstrom and Coffey back at the point. Fedorov, Yzerman, and Cicerelli up front for Detroit. Here comes Fedorov up there after it. Manson off the boards. Coffey keeps it in. Cicerelli coming into the corner to help out. Couldn't get there in time, and the puck cleared down the ice. 2 minutes and 10 seconds left in the power play.
Good job by the Jets. They're looking for that open ice, and when they get the puck, they're not rattled.
Terry Simpson changing up the penalty killers.
Meanwhile, Detroit look a little rattled.
Here comes Yzerman. Cicerelli and Fedorov up there with him. Puck tapped in. Yzerman wheeling after it. Slaps at that puck. Tkachuk trying to get it out. He and Lidstrom. And the puck pushed out there by persistence from Keith Tkachuk, and he gets it down the ice.
Hey, you can say all you want if you're a Detroit Red Wing fan, the fact that, well, these games really don't mean a lot because the Red Wings know they're in the playoffs. But this game does mean a lot with a lot of money on the line in the President's Cup, and you're not performing very well.
Here comes Bob Airy. He's on the move into the corner. Shepard up there as well, and Primo circling along the boards. Here's Coffey to Lidstrom. Up to Airy. Coffey shoots. Airy after it. He's decked. Airy stepped after that puck, and Stefan Quintel knocked him down. 1 minute and 3 seconds left in a 3-minute man advantage for the Detroit Red Wings.
Eastwood did a good job for the Winnipeg Jets out there and chipped the puck out of his own zone. He was a good acquisition for the Jets.
The Red Wings have not had a shot on goal yet on this 3-minute power play. Here's Fedorov. Gets it across. Cicerelli back to Coffey. Cicerelli. That's Shepard there battling with Manson in front. And Tkachuk able to block that. He'll take off. Gillen up there with him. Coffey having to hold up Keith Tkachuk. Manson moves up after it. Just taps it to the corner. 24 seconds left in the power play for Detroit. Solid penalty killing by the Jets.
The Jets were sharp not to jump right in on the offense because they've still got to kill this penalty.
Fetisov moves it up. To Fedorov all the way back now. Fetisov. Over to Kartner. Fedorov. Down to Yzerman. Cicerelli is in front. Cicerelli up to get it. Kartner has moved in from the point. He's in the slot too. Fetisov unloads. That stop. Rebound in front. Cicerelli went after it. Here's Fedorov, penalized player back on. Karkner shoots, Happy Bullen stops it, and here come the Jets. And a great job of penalty killing, and that gets the Jets a great big hand. Here's Martin Lapointe along the boards. He's checked, and Solane is off and away. Jamnov is with him. Solane, a bullet! Here's Kozlov for Detroit. Up to Taylor. Lapointe's on the way down the left-hand side. Rouse coming up there as well. And icing is called on Detroit. Great work by the Winnipeg Jets. They kill off a 3-minute Detroit power play.
Have you had your break today? We all need to get away. There's one place that's on your way. McDonald's is your break today. Have you had your break today? Easy fun, take McDonald's way. Taste the place of smiling day. Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah. Have you had your break today?
If you want to play on the world's finest lawns, use Fedex. Unlike granular fertilizers, Fedex goes on evenly and quickly. Fedex is the simple way to fertilize and eliminate weeds with no burns or streaks.
Fedex from Green Cross. First aid for lawns and gardens.
Closed captioning this period courtesy of Apple Auto Glass with exclusive bond for life installations guaranteed safer by 130 Apples from coast to coast.
Sold out by the National Hockey League. That's how the fans here feel after the announcement this evening, even though it's not yet all over for the Winnipeg Jets here in Winnipeg. But you did mention the fact that they are not sold out here in the building against the best hockey team in the National Hockey League.
Here's Lapointe, sharp angle. Happy Bullen stops it and wrestles the rebound to the ice. It's 4-2 here in Winnipeg. Let's check out that game between St. Louis and Edmonton.
1-0 as we pick it up. Edmonton leading St. Louis, and this is an Oiler power play. Doug Waite will get it over for Jason Arnott, and Arnott winds up and cranks this one to give the Oilers a 2-0 lead on the Blues. They're in the second.
Shots on goal 32-20 in favor of the Detroit Red Wings, but Winnipeg with a 4-2 lead. The Jets with 3 goals in the second period. Keith Tkachuk scoring 2 of them. Randy Gillen up to take the draw. Gillen has an assist in this game. There's Shannon. Karkner knocked it down, then he lost his stick, and then he loses his balance. Had a little help on the ladder, however, as he was bumped to the ice.
Couldn't find the puck, was caught in his pants.
Here's Taylor. Shannon keeping a close eye on him. Puck popped out in front. Here's Karkner. That's knocked away. Jamnov with it. Up to Solane. He'll scoot down the wing. Jamnov battling up there to join him.
Lapointe's picking up a penalty. He hooked Jamnov from behind, stopped him from getting into the open ice.
So the Jets with a power play coming up as Martin Lapointe heads off to the box.
Lapointe was coming back, picking up his man. Watch right here. He is behind Jamnov, though, so instead of skating, he hitchhiked. And that earned him a trip to the penalty box. A couple of more strides and he would have been able to catch Jamnov, even though Jamnov's got decent speed. And at least even lay the stick on him so as to prohibit him from getting a passer's shot. Scotty Bowman would say, lack of discipline.
And for this Jets power play, Korolev, Olchuk, and Eastwood up front. Nelson Emerson and Stefan Quintal back at the blue line. Burr, Airy, Rouse, and coffee out there for the Red Wings.
Barry Simpson might have said, thanks, we needed that, the power play opportunity. On the other hand, with Zhamnov being the man in the open and your top goal scorer and a great goal scorer, you would have preferred to have had him with a one-on-one. He and Vernon.
Here's Bob Airy starting back. Tried to get it up ahead to Burr. 1:30 to go on the power play for Winnipeg. Airy up there to crunch into Emerson. He had Burr coming up. And Airy is tangled up with Emerson back behind the plane. Meanwhile, this is Stefan Quintel with it. Up to the line with Korolev. Korolev was mugged by Burr, who lost his stick.
So Burr's trying to tackle everybody. Whoa, Burr didn't have a stick to get up high there, but one did come up. It was Korolev's stick, I believe, that came right up and caught Burr. Burr out doing his job.
He's a good penalty killer, and also he doesn't score many goals, but they're crucial ones that he scores. He's scored 5 this year, and 3 of them game winners.
He's a little ornery right now because on his way to the bench, he ended up taking a little swat at Tkachuk as well. Scotty Bowman's got a pretty good year out of Sean Burr as well. He's got Burr playing a feisty game, a better defensive game, and he's had him killing penalties and doing a good job at it.
.52 to go in the third period. 4-2, the Jets leading the Detroit Red Wings. Detroit needing 1 win to clinch the Western Conference regular season championship as well as the overall NHL points title. And the Jets needing a win just to stay in the playoff fight. Here's Newman to Tkachuk. Waits, shoots. Solane at the side of the net. Wouldn't sit for him. And the puck cleared. 50 seconds left in the power play. Shepard up there short-handed, and Manson over there to cut him off. Here's Yzerman stepping in. And Zhamnov will start back. Up to Tkachuk. Konstantinov for Detroit. This is Teppo Numminen. He scored the first goal of the game for Winnipeg. Manson up to Zhamnov. He was stiff there at the line by Fetisov. Solane right in, and a nice stop by Vernon. Here's Numminen. Tried to get it to Manson. That was tapped out by Fedorov. Tkachuk coming in. Over to Zhamnov. Back for Solane. Solane battling there after it, but it's tapped out by Konstantinov. This is Fedorov trying to battle loose. Penalized player back on. Winnipeg 1 for 6 in the power play. They only had 1 shot on goal during that man advantage. And Manson's going on.
Imagine adhesives so strong they help hold together 100 tons of soaring transportation. Imagine a fabric so bright it lets you see an accident in time to prevent it. Imagine a single disc so powerful it can store almost everything imaginable and protect it for a lifetime. These products and thousands more that make our lives better exist because the people at 3M imagine.
Out on the ice, I don't score points for how my hair looks. But after the game, in front of the press, and the cameras are just inches away, and millions of fans are watching, my hair has to look great. And great hair can't have flakes. No way. So I get rid of them with Head & Shoulders. It keeps my dandruff in check, and my hair looking great. Hey, you can't hide under a helmet all the time.
Head & Shoulders, every day.
With great hair, can't have flakes.
We've had some pretty good penalty killing in his last 5 minutes. Manson is in the penalty box, so we're going to see some more penalty killing. The Red Wings only had one shot on net in their power play. The Jets only one on theirs. We'll see how the Red Wings do this time.
Whatever they do, they'll start trying to do it with Coffey and Lidstrom back at the point. Here's Fedorov. He's up front with Cicerelli and Primo. This is Primo out to Fedorov. Coffey, watch.
Bad clearing attempt by Shannon.
He misfired there, and now he's got Fedorov right on him back of the net. Primo up there as well. Here's Cicerelli. Cicerelli to Primo. Nobody in front yet. Cicerelli will snake his way towards the front of the goal. Here's Primo.
I don't think you want
Primo drops it down. Up to Lidstrom to Fedorov. Shoots, and play is called. An interference penalty coming up in front of the net. Keith Primo is really ticked at that call.
He's saying that he was dumb. I started to say that you can't just stand around and watch the Detroit Red Wings set up, even though you are in a pretty good box.
So Primo off for interference.
Now watch Primo right here. He backs right in, but I think he could have put on the brakes. He was hooked right at the top of the screen. You could see that he was off balance, but then he skated backwards for quite a distance before he ended up, well, of course, stopping, but having some assistance in stopping. Tough one for him to argue.
Teams at even strength for the next 59 seconds. And then Winnipeg will go on the power play for a minute 1. 10:41 to go here in the third period. The Jets leading Detroit 4-2.
Yep, Scotty's looking up, shaking his head because this team is not living up to his expectations of this evening. You take a look at the last week that they've gone through. They got beat by Los Angeles, the 5-5 tie against Winnipeg. They've given up a lot of goals.
Here comes Yzerman. Drops it off. Fedorov shoots. Mikulchik really on the lip after that, but he's right back up and into it. Mikulchik watching Fedorov. Newman in after it.
Mikulchik is limping, but he's staying out there.
Dropped down to block that Fedorov shot.
He waved to the bench, letting them know that he wants to get off. Fedorov had a lot behind that shot, and he went down to block.
Here comes Coffey. Up there to Burr, and Coffey will head back towards the bench. The Red Wings making changes in the go. And Winnipeg is now on the power play for the next minute and 1 second. Here's Jamnov. The puck was rolling and bobbling around for him at the line. Tkachuk with it. Over to Jamnov. Steps up with a shot. Vernon's got it.
But he almost didn't. Vernon bobbled that shot. Main thing is he was able to keep it out, but he looked a little shaky at making the save. Wasn't exacting a blistering shot by Jamnov either, but it may have fooled Mike Vernon. Meanwhile, let's go back and take a look at that block shot. Fedorov had all the time. He wound up and just blasted that puck. A great block. Mikulchik got down and got it all.
That's Oleg Mikulchik. 4-2, Winnipeg leading Detroit. 51 seconds left in the power play for the Jets. Jamnov, Solane, Tkachuk all up in the draw. Burr taking the face-off for Detroit. Manson and Newman are back at the blue line for the Jets. Rouse, Airy, and Fetisov, the other penalty killers out there for Detroit, other than Sean Burr. Puck comes in front, ready, steady, there's the stop.
It was a guessing game between Tkachuk and Vernon. Vernon won it.
Here's Manson. Up ahead to Solane. 20 seconds left in the power play. Winnipeg with the man advantage and a 4-2 lead over Detroit. Tkachuk sneaks in over the line. Looking for a little bit of room. He's found it. And then it closes up. Penalized player back on. The teams all even up for the first time in a little while. Tempo Newman and clears it down into Detroit territory. 8:32 left to play in the third period. The Jets with a 2-goal lead. Olczyk up there after it.
Jets are smart at doing what they're doing. They're not laying back and trying to protect this 2-goal lead. They're going right at the Red Wings for good reason.
King goes right at Kartner, runs into him. Konstantinov after it. Olczyk trying to get loose. Kartner held him up.
A little bit of holding going on there by both teams.
Konstantinov. That was partially blocked by Shannon. King. And a bump there by Primo. Coffey moves it up. Here's Keith Primo. Kozlov after it. And Quintal will start back now for Winnipeg. The Jets making a few changes, so Quintal just got across center and dumped it in.
And smart play by Quintal, too. He knew that his team needed a line change, so he made sure that he got that puck down deep.
Here comes Fedorov. Manson watching him.
A little bit more than watching, didn't he? Rubbed his glove right in his face.
Oh, that too. Tkachuk up after it. Nelson Emerson was in front, but the puck comes back to Manson. Tkachuk parked right on the doorstep, trying to tip that home. He's battling with Coffey. Manson swats at it, and here comes Steve Yzerman. Cicerelli leaping up there to join him. Here's Yzerman. Tried to feather back across to Cicerelli. Mikulchuk tying him up.
Yeah, good defensive play by Mikulchuk.
Here's Taylor. Cicerelli to Yzerman. Taylor around to Cicerelli. Back to Yzerman. See if he tries to get it in front again. Now he's going to carry it out this time. Yzerman shoots. Here's Taylor. Eastwood after him. Cicerelli. Out to Yzerman. Manson draped all over him like a coat. And Cicerelli is away up cut offside. He has to come out and clear the zone. He was busy arguing with the referee, Dave Jackson. Solane leaping up after it. Jamnov going for the net, but Solane was offside anyway. 6:10 to go in the third period on Molson NHL Tonight.
Our German engineers could have road tested the new Porsche 911 Carrera 4 back home in Germany. They could have taken the 270 horsepower engine out on the Autobahn again, or driven the Black Forest with the all-wheel drive and radical suspension. They could have done all that back home. But then, they wouldn't have gotten all this neat stuff.
Quick update from Edmonton. Oilers leading 2-0 St. Louis in the power play, and Steve Duchesne walks in and takes the shot for his 9th. Oilers lead cut to 2-1, second period.
Because hockey season lasts until July, Micotin penetrates the skin to kill athlete's foot.
I tell you, those red skates were skating faster than the Red Wings were skating in this period. Watch Dino Cicerelli getting hugged here and then getting dragged right down to the ice, and Dino Cicerelli probably says, what the heck is going on here? And of course retaliated with a pretty good slash right to Mikulchuk.
Mikulchuk was working him over, and Habby Bullen gave him a bit of a rap with the end of the stick, too.
Mikulchuk's played a good period for them.
Here's Rouse. Shoots. Airy going to the net, runs into Habby Bullen, and he gets a chop from the goaltender behind the play. Here's Gillen. Up ahead for Murray. Fetisov running to the boards by Murray. Gillen is up there. He spins away with the puck. Cicerelli now. King watching him. Shannon pokes at it. Gillen is out in the slot for the Jets. Now he's going to come over to the boards to get in the play. King was dumped.
Primo just shoved him and sent him flying.
And here comes Primo with the puck.
Shows the strength of Keith Primo. King isn't an easy guy to push down at any time.
5:15 to go in the third period. The Jets up by a pair. Here comes Coffey. Centers in front, scores! Kozlov. Coffey just turned it up a gear and got it in front to Kozlov, and it's 4-3. Detroit down by 1.
He sure did. Paul Coffey just took that pass from Dino Ciccarelli and decided he was going to get the Red Wings going himself. Nice little pass right out in front of the net. Now watch right here. Kozlov is parked perfectly. He gets the pass. He just shovels the puck in and then gave Vittel a little push just to say, there you go. Here we go. One-goal hockey game right now.
Vyacheslav Kozlov gets the goal. Coffey and Fedorov pick up the assists. Solane up to Korolev. Vernon up there to play it away from Jamnov. Here's Shepard. Shepard coming up.
Fedorov almost got through there. You've got to make sure you play the body at the blue line on Sergei Fedorov. Here's the way that he dips and doodles around. That's not an easy job.
And there's a little example of that here as he dekes his way in over the line. Fedorov flicked that one wide. Solane picks it up. Up to Korolev. Jamnov up there with him.
And you notice when Fedorov came in from a bad angle, he goes for the far side top corner.
Here's Coffey again. Same play. There's the pass. And that time Kozlov wasn't there to tap it in. Burr wrestled into the goal, and a penalty coming up. It's going to be an interference call against the Jets. Burr was interfered with on his way to the net and dislodged the net. The Jets up by a score of 4-3. 4:06 to go here in the third. Tonight's game story is brought to you by Para Paints. Para, painting Canada since 1950. Jets with those 3 goals in the second period. Tkachuk with 2 of them. They scored 2 within 1:31 to jump into the lead in this game.
Where were you on the night of the 15th?
I have no comment.
Did you ever see the victim before today?
I have no comment.
Isn't it true that the victim was, in reality, your mother?
I have no comments.
I'm really sorry about last night. I don't know what got into me.
No, hey, it was my fault.
No, really, I should have paid more attention.
Look, if I hadn't pushed you into it, you never would have...
No, but listen, if I had been more agreeable...
Look, it'll never happen again.
Well, I promise.
Check the yellow pages for the Para Paint dealer nearest you.
Oleg Mikulchik in the penalty box for interference. It was Sean Burr who he was all over.
Well, let's take a look at this, though, because Burr is heading right for the net. And I don't think that was a good penalty. Because Burr had one thing in mind, and that was going to the net and trying his best to interfere with the goaltender. And Mikulchuk just got his stick on him. He ends up getting the penalty at a critical time in the game here.
Well, it was unfolding as the identical play in which Kozlov scored. Coffey just hit the line, turned it up a notch, came down the right side, tucked it right in front. Here's Coffey. Blocked in the way in, and the puck fired up over the glass. 1:54 to go on the power play for the Red Wings. They trail 4-3 with 4 minutes to go.
Well, if you've got the best power play in the National Hockey League as the Detroit Red Wings have, then this is the time right now that they have got to make sure that it works for them. Got 1 minute and 54 seconds to get 1 goal. That 1 goal will tie this hockey game up, and that would be a frustrating goal for the Winnipeg Jets,
who are scratching and clawing and trying to get airborne into the playoffs.
Gillen. Yeah, Gillen says, why isn't that interference? Oh, it is! Holding penalty, interference, call it what you want, but The Red Wings are picking up a penalty that evens things up.
I call it an even-up call, is what I would call it, with 3:51 to go in the third period. So Detroit's power play lasts all of 15 seconds.
Coffey had Gillen's stick underneath of his armpit, but he's arguing that, hey, I had to put my hands on my own stick, and if his stick's underneath of there, then that's hardly holding them. Argument to no avail. Evens things up. The marbles in the pocket now are all even.
I wonder how many of the Jets are thinking back to that game last week, April the 19th, when they blew the 4-1 lead.
You know, if you keep bringing it up through the course of the game,
I know
they're going to end up blowing it.
No,
tried to jinx them?
No, not at all. I always
just reminding everybody
whether players are sitting there thinking that, or whether it's
here they come again, the Red Wings. Well, I think any team that's has a lead on the Red Wings is always thinking about the fact that this great offensive team can come back and beat us with very few minutes necessary to do it.
So the team's 4-on-4. Fedorov up to Yzerman. Lidstrom moving in from the point towards the front of the net. Now he'll circle back, and Fedorov all the way back there. Here's Yzerman. Fedorov shoots. A bullet is stopped by Habibulin. Zhamnov pounces on top of it and can't get the puck out. Fetisov battling to get away from Korolev. Zhamnov now for the Winnipeg Jets to Korolev. Up ahead for Zhamnov, motoring, trying to squeeze through, but Fedorov pulled it away. Here's Lidstrom. Fedorov on the way, wings and a change, so that's why he drops it back there to Shepard.
Jets won't have much of a power play on this Paul Coffey penalty.
They have a 15-second man advantage in 32 seconds.
But it goes a long ways for the Jets just to have Paul Coffey sitting in the penalty box for a couple minutes. There's Primo mixing it up with Manson.
Except Manson was on the bench, so he went right over and was jawing with him.
Look at him. He's just egging Primo on to that stare of Manson.
NBA playoff action. Now, who would have ever guessed there'd be a year, Gary, where the NBA playoffs would start before the end of the NHL regular season? Doubleheader coming up on Friday. And, of course, everybody anticipating a big dream matchup between Chicago and Orlando. Shaq against Michael Jordan.
Watch Manson's stick right here on the bench. Yeah, just had the stick waving around Primo, and that's why Primo went back to have words with Manson.
2.5 minutes to play in period number 3. Winnipeg leading Detroit 4-3.
That was a bad pass by Shannon right in front. You can tell.
Shannon gets it up ahead. Eastwood trying to muscle in. It's right in front and Vernon with a big stop, and I mean a big one on Keith Tkachuk.
Tkachuk followed it through. Thought he pushed it over the goal line, but Vernon saved the day for the Red Wings. Saved at least their opportunity to get even in this game. Watch Tkachuk. He just broke away from his check, and Rouse isn't easy to break away from either in front of the net. Tkachuk didn't get much on that shot. He kind of shoveled it, and then he got an extra push at Vernon as he was going by the net.
In 9 seconds, the Jets will have a 15-second power play.
But the Jets had better be careful with Paul Coffey coming out of the penalty box. The Red Wings might be looking for a long bomb. Coffey will be well rested after that 2 minutes.
Might have been the longest time he sat down tonight.
Kulchuk just jumped in there, anticipated that pass, and took it away.
Jets in the power play. 5 seconds left in their power play. Paul Coffey out of the box. teams at even strength. 1:48 to play in the hockey game in regulation time. The Jets are leading 4-3.
Solani has had his stick taken by Konstantinov, who took it right to the Detroit bench. Konstantinov had 2 sticks. Solani had none.
Cicerelli trying to get to it. Numanen gets there first. Kozlov moving up. Korolev gets it to the line. Coffey kept it in. Here's Kozlov. Cicerelli and Fedorov up there. Mike Vernon has not gone to the bench yet. 1:14 to go. Detroit needing 1 to tie. Here's Eastwood. Fedorov picks it up for the Red Wings. Up ahead to Kozlov. He has Cicerelli over on the left side. Cicerelli couldn't get to it. Offside called on Detroit with 1:04 to go in regulation time.
Some pretty goofy things have happened in this game tonight. And maybe one of the strangest just happened. Let's go off to Edmonton and see what the score is there right now, John.
2-1 as we pick it up right now, Gary, and a great pass here from the rookie Dave Roberts out for Brett Hull. Hull is easily there for his 29th of the season between the pads. It is even at 2 as they head to the second intermission.
I'm telling you, Konstantinov stole Solani's stick. He had one of his own, and he took it. Now, if he wanted a stick that badly of Solani's, he might have been able to ask him after the game. Watch this. Now, there's Solani. Now, he doesn't have a stick. Now, watch. He pulls the stick away from Solani, goes to the bench with 2 sticks, and he's got his own in Solani. He'll probably take it back to Detroit and sell it for a lot of money. The Timo Solani stick.
You have to get it signed first, though. You'll drop by the room afterwards.
Yeah, I don't know what these fans have got to be so happy about other than their team's 1-goal lead, and that's lots to be happy about, but maybe they're dancing for one of the last times here.
Yeah, the news not good today. You can get a complete recap of it on Sports Desk coming up later on. But as it stands now, it is looking as though the Winnipeg Jets are not long for this city. Again, all the details and analysis coming up later on Sports Desk.
1 minute and 4 seconds remaining, and the Red Wings mean business.
Red Wings with an empty net. Primo, Cicerelli, Shepard, Yzerman, Coffey, Fedorov. That enough firepower for you?
Gillen's got to win this draw. He's their best.
Gillen, Eastwood, Tkachuk, Manson, and Numanen out there for Winnipeg.
They've got their backup, though, with Eastwood, who's pretty good on the draws if Gillen gets waved out.
And Gillen will get tossed.
I think he was trying to get Primo out of there so that Yzerman could come in.
Mike Eastwood in on the faceoff against Primo. And Eastwood wins the draw. Numanen couldn't get it out. He'll get a second chance, and this time he makes good on it. And Coffey mixed up over along the boards with Gillen as Primo carries it in. Coffey chopped at it.
Oh, I thought that puck came outside.
Wings with the extra attacker. They need 1 to tie. Here's Fedorov. Primo was up there offside. Numanen with it. And icing called on Detroit. Fedorov had cleared it in from well the other side of center ice.
And that's just not thinking, because in a situation like this, a player like Fedorov realizes that he's got to step over the red line before he dumps it in. Now Vernon's got to come back in to face off deep, and boy, is this play right into the Winnipeg Jets' hands. That's the kind of game, though, that Detroit Red Wings have played tonight, Paul. Their focus, concentration, call it what you want, hasn't been there. Played a pretty strong first period, in fact, a very strong first period, and then kind of left it in the dressing room.
Well, I wonder if it was there this morning during practice, because Paul Coffey, among a couple of players, a couple of the veterans, were barking out orders, and come on, let's get these drills right. Let's see a little more intensity. So if you want to look back for foreshadowing, perhaps a little bit there. 30 seconds to go. The Jets up 4-3. Here's Fedorov. Shepard coming in. Vernon heads to the bench. Shepard trying to get loose. Javi Bullen plays it to Eastwood. Time ticking down. The wings up there. Gillen off the boards. He gets it out. Big play by Gillen to get it down the ice. Icing is called on Winnipeg. 3.8 seconds remaining.
Gillen just thought by flipping it like that, though, that it would just head down into the zone. He didn't mean for it to go that far, because with that amount of time left still, winning a draw right here on Detroit's part could still score them a goal.
Well, the way he chopped it there, Gary, initially, I thought that's what was going to happen, that he put enough of a flip on the puck, it wouldn't go far enough for icing.
Detroit loses this game tonight. They're winless in their last 3 in the wrong time of the year to be that way.
And the Winnipeg Jets trying to snap a 2-game losing streak and keep playoff hopes alive. It boils down to this faceoff.
Eastwood won it before. He's there again.
Primo against Eastwood.
Was just trying to go low on Primo, but he's getting thrown out. Gillen will come in, and Yzerman is their backup for Detroit.
Kachuk taps it to the corner. The game is over. The Winnipeg Jets 4-3 winners over Detroit, and they keep tenuous playoff hopes alive.
The little things can be big things when it comes to a hockey game, and winning faceoffs is exactly that tonight.
So the Winnipeg Jets, 4-3 winners over the Detroit Red Wings. Their first win of the year against Detroit. Boy, couldn't have come at a better time for the Jets.
Introducing the Special Edition Civics from Honda. With 16-valve fuel-injected engines, Honda's double wishbone suspension, and power-assisted rack and pinion steering. Now add air conditioning, AM/FM stereo cassette, center console armrest, digital clock, passenger side vanity mirror, full wheel covers, and other special features for a very special edition. So much for so little. So hurry.
If the choice was yours, you'd wear something casual to work. But in reality, you have to wear steel-toed work boots. So you wear comfortable, lightweight Dakota Aggressor work boots with the safety you need and the all-day comfort you want. So, when work's finished, you're not. Dakota Aggressor work boots for men and women only at Mark's Work Warehouse.
Today's cars and trucks are more advanced than ever, but there is a price. Their harder working engines can wreak havoc on the motor oil, breaking it down almost immediately. That's why Castrol GTX provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. So use Castrol, or your harder working engine could make things hard on you. Castrol GTX, engineered for greater protection against breakdown.
Look for Castrol's free NHL hat offer at these and other leading outlets.
Diamond engagement ring. How else could 2 months' salary last forever?
Why waste time with a tractor like this when you can own a Mastercraft tractor from Canadian Tire? It has shift on the go to perform smoothly in tight areas without stopping, so you can finish your lawn in no time. Which, all things considered, makes buying a Mastercraft tractor sound pretty good. Put it on your Canadian Tire credit card now and don't make any payments till August. There's a lot more to Canadian Tire for a lot less.
Time now for the Molson Cup 3 stars from Winnipeg. Third star, Detroit defenseman Paul Coffey with 3 assists. The game's second star, Jets captain Keith Tkachuk with 2 goals. And the number 1 star in Winnipeg, Jets goaltender Nikolai Habibulin with 32 saves in the win tonight. So a big win for the Winnipeg Jets. Let's get you caught up on a rundown of all the other early games in the NHL tonight, beginning with the Stars and the Blackhawks in Chicago. Hawks have won 2 in a row, Mac, and they score a bunch of goals tonight.
They're on a roll. Jeremy Roenick there tonight, but obviously not playing. Instead tonight, he seriously doubts he'll be able to play in any of the playoff action for the Hawks this year.
He's posturing. Ottawa leading Tampa early 6-0 to hang on for a 6-1 victory. How about the Senators?
Lots of injuries in this game, from Radek Bonk to Phil Bourque to Martin Straka, but hey, they don't need him. 6-1 and comes on the heels. 3 of 4 victories last 4 games for the Senators.
And the Edmonton Oilers had a 2-0 lead, but the St. Louis Blues have come back to tie things up on goals by Duchesne and Hull. It is 2-2 at the second intermission.
This one's getting pretty feisty. A fight almost spilled over into the Edmonton bench. Brian Marchman involved, Denis Chassé, Ian LaPerriere. Quite an edge going in the St. Louis-Edmonton game tonight.
And the final in Winnipeg is the Jets beat the Red Wings 4-3. There you have it there, and we'll have all the details and highlights coming up on Sports Desk matter of a few moments from now.
Aha! Oh, hi! I'm using this ordinary telescope to take a look at auto repairs. My hunch is we're going to see something kind of interesting here, and look, there it is right now. At some places, you're not allowed to see what's going on with your car. However, at Midas, things are completely different. Look at this. They take you under the car. They let you see just what needs fixing and what can wait. You're in the loop, I tell you. Midas, the way it should be.
At Dodge, we thought about how cars like this have to respond quickly. Just like you. Cars like this have to maneuver through heavy traffic. And so do you. But cars like this have a double wishbone suspension to give them that kind of control. Well, when you buy a new Dodge Stratus, so do you. Dodge Stratus, the cure for performance anxiety.
Slick 50 engine treatment with Teflon. Can it reduce wear in your engine? Yes. Here's proof. In the Great Slick 50 torture test, a professional driver drove this Slick 50 treated car nearly 20 kilometers with no oil. And here's more proof. Slick 50 is the only engine protection with test results published by the Society of Automotive Engineers, the recognized automotive authority. Reduce wear in your engine with Slick 50 engine treatment with Teflon.
Get Slick 50 at Canadian Tire, Kmart, Sears Automotive, Home Hardware.
Although man is composed of over 90% water, he doesn't have to feel wet. For effective, long-lasting protection against wetness and odor, use Arid Extra Dry Antiperspirant for Men. Dryness designed for men.
Everyone knows water and wax don't mix. Everyone's wrong. Introducing Wax Packs, the revolutionary car wax that disperses in soap and water to wax your car while you wash it.
I'm waxy.
New Wax Packs. It waxes while you wash.
Time now for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by Royal LePage. Second period, the Winnipeg Jets popped 3 goals on their way to a 4-3 victory. This is the 4th goal, what turned out to be the winning goal. It's on a power play. The puck fired in from the blue line by Newman, and Keith Tkachuk parked in front, and he was able to redirect it. Solane got the puck back to Newman, and Tkachuk parked right in front of the net, redirected it in behind Mike Vernon. That was Tkachuk's 2nd goal of the game, and the winner. A cash donation will be made to the Coaching Association of Canada for the training and development of Canadian coaches in amateur sport on behalf of TSN and the real estate professionals that make the difference. Aim higher with Royal LePage. Winnipeg is now 15-23-7. They have 37 points. Detroit 31-10-4 for 66 points. 4-3 the final. That's the story from Winnipeg.